is under investigation, and the Marine's name is being withheld pending notification of next of kin. House Republicans have quietly closed an investigation into FBI bias against President Trump.
This letter from the outgoing Republican chairman Trey Gowdy and Bob Goodlatte got buried at the end of last week, and it does contain new information about recent closed-door testimony from former senior FBI officials, including top lawyer James Baker. According to the letter, Baker told House investigators that there was a basis to pursue a case against Hillary Clinton for using an unsecured personal server for government business and mishandling of classified information. Baker also said Comey's decision to recommend against criminal charges was not shared by all.
Fox's Catherine Herridge in Washington. Democrats have said the investigation was an effort by Republicans to damage the special counsel and have vowed to end any investigation along those lines when they gain control of the House this week. This is Fox News.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
An American reportedly detained in Russia. The family of Paul Whelan says they haven't heard from him in days.
His family says he was at a wedding. We've been in contact with his twin brother, who says Whelan is a retired Marine and says his family learned from news reports yesterday the Russian government had detained him. In a statement, Whelan's family says, quote, "We noticed that he was not in communication on the 28th, which was very much out of character for him, even when he was traveling. We are deeply concerned for his safety and well-being. His innocence is undoubted, and we trust that his rights will be respected."
Fox's Rich Edson in Washington. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in Brazil ahead of the Brazilian presidential inauguration. On the sidelines of that, he met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, talking about the planned U.S. drawdown in Syria.
Counter-ISIS campaign continues. Our efforts to counter Iranian aggression continue, and our commitment to Middle East stability and the protection of Israel continues in the same way it did before that decision was made.
Democrats and some Republicans have criticized the president's plan to withdraw from Syria. The party may start on New Year's Eve, but it continues on New Year's Day.
After the ball drops, we find plenty of ways to extend the welcome for 2019. Philadelphia's Mummers Parade is a 120-year-old tradition that blends many nationalities into a single celebration. Then there are the other parades with floats and bands, like the annual London Parade and, of course, Pasadena's Tournament of Roses. Traditions like these highlight the multitude of ways to start the new year in style before settling in to binge on college football. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Singer Ricky Martin is starting off the new year with a new baby. The Grammy-nominated singer announcing the arrival of his daughter in an Instagram post showing off the baby's little hands. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Chili's 3 for Me menu just got bigger. We're giving you more choices for the same great price. For just $15, you can get a beverage, salad, and an entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a house salad and select your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our half-rack ribs, Cajun chicken pasta, old-timer burger, personal chicken fajitas, or the flavorful margarita flatbread. So hurry in today and enjoy our Chili's 3 for Me menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Insurance doesn't have to be another budget buster. Nambo Insurance has reasons for you to celebrate this new year. With Nambo Insurance Bundle Up Plan, you can save big. Bundle up your home, auto, or motorcycle insurance and save up to 50% off. Start off this new year with great savings from Nambo. Hurry and visit our 2 locations in ITC Building in Tumanin and our new Nambo Building in Hagåtña. Call us at 477-9754 or visit us at nambo.com. From our Nambo familia to yours, we wish you all a happy new year.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor-elect Lou Leon Guerrero has named the remaining members of her so-called fiscal discipline team, including 2 holdovers from the outgoing Calvo administration. Daphne Shimizu has been tapped to take over the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Michelle Santos has been named Deputy Director of Rev and Tax. Melanie Mendiola chosen to be the administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority, with Ricky Hernandez as a deputy administrator. Edward Byrne, who is currently the Director of Department of Administration in the Calvo administration, has been asked to stay on in that same position. And Lester Carlson, another holdover from the Calvo administration, he is currently acting director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. He has now been named director of that executive branch agency. Also, Tyrone Titano has been nominated as the director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Earlier this month, former BBMR director Bertha Duenas was named chief advisor on fiscal discipline and economic growth. In a release making the announcements on Monday, Leon Guerrero said her fiscal discipline team is committed to providing the leadership necessary to put our government's financial house in order. And the first priority, she said, would be to conduct a full review of GovGuam's finances, as well as collect taxes that are rightfully owed to the government of Guam. Governor-elect also announcing her choices for key GovGuam health agencies Monday. Lillian Posadas has been nominated to be the administrator of Guam Memorial Hospital, and Linda Unpinko Denorsi has been named director of the Department of Public Health and Social Services. After the new administration is sworn in on Monday, the names of all of the nominees will be transmitted to the legislature for confirmation. They'll serve in an acting capacity until confirmed. We'll have more news after this.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Ten minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Guam's new police chief says recruiting new manpower will be his top priority. Captain Steve Ignacio has been named by Governor-elect Leon Guerrero to lead the police department. He has been a member of the force for 31 years and is currently the commander of the Hagåtña Police Precinct. Ignacio told the Guam Daily Post that the biggest challenge of the department right now is lack of personnel. He said his first order of business will be sitting down with the command staff and working with them to see whether they can shift personnel around to maximize the number of officers out on patrol. His next step, he said, would be to improve recruitment rates for police officers. The first child born on American soil in the new year arrived at 19 minutes past midnight New Year's Day at Guam Memorial Hospital. Desiree Mofnis gave birth to a son named Malachi. The boy weighed in at 6.6 pounds and 17.9 inches long. Malachi's father, Kyle Mofnis, is a Guam firefighter. He told reporters yesterday that his wife and baby are healthy and happy, and that's all that matters. Dr. Tom Shea delivered the baby, the 19th New Year's child he has welcomed into the world here on Guam. The Mofnis family was showered with over $6,000 worth of gifts from nearly 30 island businesses, thanks to Archway's I Love Guam New Year's Baby campaign, which they've been sponsoring since 2005. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with the weather.
Thanks, Ed. We'll take a look at what's happening outside and take a look at the radar and the satellite and all of that jazz. Mostly sunny and breezy with isolated light showers. There's winds from the northeast, 15 to 25 miles an hour. Daytime highs should be about 88 degrees and overnight lows of about 77 degrees. Sunrise this morning at 6:44, and we can watch the sunset with the breeze about 6:05 tonight. There's a high surf advisory in effect. You can see that all along the western side of the island. High risk of rip currents through Tuesday afternoon. Is that right? Tuesday afternoon? Because isn't today already Wednesday?
It should be. That's probably a typo on their part. Thursday is more than likely what they're saying. And it may be next Tuesday is what they're talking about. Not sure what they meant when they wrote that out, but I just copy and paste.
Well, I tell you what, I was over at, I was working on some grill marks yesterday, right, and watching the chop over at Gun Beach. So I tell you what, there's definitely some high surf that's happening out there, and I imagine rip currents on the other side of the reef.
Yeah, I noticed that going home Monday. It was like I was looking out. You know, you got the nice view there, and it was like, oh, those waves are popping for the west side. They're not supposed to be that big. So, yeah, you got to watch out. If you're getting near the water, just don't, because this fetch of northerly and easterly and northeasterly winds is really kicking up the surf over on the east side. Taking a look at radar here, everything down south of us for the most part. We may see a stray shower or two today, but for the most part, it's going to be dry and a little breezy and a little cooler feeling than most days have been.
Oh,
got another
was
surge
just
coming down.
Gorgeous last night, wasn't
it was nice. No, the last couple of days were just outstanding. Got another surge going to come in on Friday and Saturday to reinforce the one we've already gotten and kick the winds back up and dry things out. So this is our winter. We're having it right now. Taking a look at the satellite here, we are up at the top there by the pointer, and you got a lot of blombage down south, but that's just what they call the near equatorial trough, and it's way down south, which is pretty typical for this time of year.
Make your voice lower when you do that.
I know, right?
This gets way down.
Way down. So, but we're doing good. You can see the shear line. You can quite literally see the shear line. That's where the yellow clouds are flaring up down south of us, but then they move into drier air and just kind of go, poof, and that's it. So that's what we can expect today.
How do they go?
How to go?
Sound like when I go to the range.
It's on FM, so we can hear it.
It is 6:13.
You wouldn't get that on AM.
How about that? There's a first look at weather for 2019, as they say. It's 93.3 The Point. Weather brought to you by our friends over at Bank Pacific. Where others put branches, they place roots.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary, and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
Like having 2 Mondays this week. How about that? Portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at King's, where they've got the crazy holiday menu still in effect. So you might want to check them out for the Fruity Pebbles pancakes or the Hawaiian French toast. The Nutella banana French toast is there as well. If you need some savory, how about the ribeye and eggs and adobo fried rice? Check that breakfast out this morning at King's.
Docomo Pacific is making the Better Together bundle even better. 2 great services plus more. Get unlimited local calls, SMS, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet for $109 a month. Sign up today and get free installation and choose between a free Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or $100 off select devices. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
I got 6:15 in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar. And Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for your open heart surgical needs in 2019.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Oh, that guy? Oh, I know him. 6:15, and he likes to go over to Subway every once in a while and find out what kind of great new sandwiches they can make there. The Subway Chipotle Cheese Steak is another one. Contains a concept called flavor, and the flavor comes from juicy shaved steak and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Available for a limited time at Subway restaurants. Subway, make it what you want.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Well, hello. 2019. How are you doing there? Are we going to be friends? Is this going to be that kind of year where we're going to shake hands and just love and hug each other all the way through? Let's work on that, shall we? Hey, welcome to the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Great to be here with you on a Wednesday morning. I might have to say that more than once or twice here today. Not for you, for me, to remind me that today is Wednesday morning. It's not the second Monday of the week. And frankly, as I was pondering it this morning, somebody sent me a note, said, Happy Hump Day. And I thought, well, so I'm going to continue the tradition of never referring to Wednesdays as Hump Day because everybody else does that. But I will point out just how groovy it is to start off the work year on a Wednesday.
Yeah, on a Wednesday.
Because we say, I got Thursday, we got to wake up on Thursday, and we got to wake up on Friday, and bam, we got another weekend in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a great way to get started.
Yeah. But today was one of those days, though, where there just weren't enough minutes. It just seemed like the clock was just swinging by. I got up at 3, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I sat down for a second, made coffee, looked at the clock again. It's 3:30 already. I'm like,
yeah.
What happened there? So,
unusual story because most people aren't waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Most people don't do a morning radio show. But maybe it just is, and maybe it's just trying to run into this new year. And hit the ground running, if you will. Yeah. Maybe that ought to be the plan for today.
I'm still hungover.
A little late to work on that as a plan for the program, but we'll see what happens. That's Michael Knight. He gets the phone when you call at 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. Love to hear from you and hear about your adventures into the new year, New Year's Eve activities and New Year's Day activities. 988-5874. If you have any incredible pictures, any memes that maybe you picked up. There's a funny meme that I saw, and it was this guy, fireworks behind him, right? And he's got guns going bang bang bang. He's got like machine guns strapped to his arms, and it said Happy New Year from Agate. What? How was the fireworks show down in Agate? Did that get rained out like everything else? 6:19. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post joins us for another year. How you doing?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. And a fairly busy New Year's Eve, wasn't it?
Was it? I went to bed early.
Did you?
I did.
You did.
Yeah, I did. I had to work yesterday, so
Yeah.
I wasn't going to stay. I woke up at midnight, of course, but
Yeah. Then what woke you up? Was it the gunshots, or was it
some guy outside honking his horn and smashing pots together? The usual nonsense
on New Year's. How about that? Now I went to. We did the thing over at Kentos. Boss 104 had that big return of the '90s party over at Kentos, and that was a good time. And it was nice to get a hug and a kiss into 2019. And went from there over to the Doucet because I had some other friends that were goofing off at a couple of locations over at Doucet, and then I mentioned this in the company chat, and then there's the walking back to the car at, I don't know, forget what is it, 1 o'clock, 1:30 or something like that in the morning. And it wasn't a downpour as much as it was just kind of a drizzle. And I'm hearing in my head what you had said about New Year's Eve being rather rainy. That's what the forecast called for. You called it, and you called it right.
Yeah, I could see it coming. There was just no way that the rain was not going to fall that night. But it was okay. And the fireworks show at EPAL was great. I got to see it from my back porch because I can see EPAL from the back porch. I can see the Sheraton from the front.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so the Sheraton was okay.
Yeah.
But then even after they finished, boom, 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 still going on at EPAL. So I went out to the back porch and filmed that for my family down in the
I got you. Well, the Sheraton thing, how do we say this? On that side of the peninsula, they had that jam house going on over at Jimmy D's. Did that keep you awake all night? Could you hear that?
No, I had a little far away. Yeah, a little far away. Plus, the waves were banging, so I couldn't really hear it over the wave noise. That was nice.
The ocean noise. Yeah. No, I heard plenty of that over the weekend. Over the New Year's holiday as well. So got up early yesterday and went on my New Year's run because that's how I wanted to start the new year. With at least that little bit of a constitutional and like Christmas, like the Christmas morning run. It was great to be out there and seeing all my running buddies that were starting off their new year the same way, and went home and took a nap because that's what I do after I run 8 miles. And got up and decided that there were going to be grill marks. And so I checked with Michael Knight, who is my weatherman, even when we're not working on the radio. And Mike said it might be a little bit choppy. There were a couple of rain showers that did pass over. But I didn't move. Nobody around me over at the beach moved until later and caught the last sunset over at the Sheraton last night. Just the first sunset of 2019. Isn't that fun? Everything on Monday was the last of its kind, and everything yesterday was the first of its kind. And I hope you had a great first of 2019. And like I said, are we going to be friends here? The theme for today's show on Facebook Live, January 2nd already. Where's the year gone? It's just one of those things because I was saying that most of last year. Wow, August already, October already. It's Thanksgiving already. Where has 2018 gone? And I think we're going to be saying the same thing as we make our way through 2019. And there's a lot going on now that we've changed not just the page on the calendar, but the entire calendar. Thank you to the Japanese consulate's office. That's where I get my calendars from. We got a whole new page here, and there's going to be a whole lot of new and exciting floating around. There's a couple of the top stories that Kevin did for you just a few minutes ago. Refer to the new names that are being, and a couple of old names as we put together the Cabinet for Health and the Fiscal Discipline Team and all of that. Obviously, I'll go through some of that and a little bit more as we make our way through the morning. But first thing that I want to do before I go anywhere further is to say hello, Hafaday. Welcome to the program.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. See, our troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, Mike and I threatening to get together and figure out what we're going to do differently in 2019. And I don't know if we want to do anything differently when it comes to saying hello to everybody on Facebook Live. Nick Perlosky is there. Good morning. Ismael Velez starting off another year with us. Juanita Machi and Joey Charfros. Hafa Lynn, Vince Borja Polino. Nice to see you there. And Mark Cruz waving all the way up in Zigo Town. Bob Ellsworth says, yep, another ride around the sun. Here we go. Enjoy it. Why don't you? Lady D up in Zigo saying, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year's, everyone. Hopefully that comes true. John Ray Titano with his good morning and Happy New Year. You might recall John Ray was the one that kept us all on track with the countdown to Christmas and the countdown to New Year's. And for those of you that are kind of curious about it, there are 357 days until Christmas 2019.
There we go. By the way, for those who like to watch the sky things, right now, if you go outside, you can see the moon with Venus very nearby.
I knew you would know that. I knew you would know what Jupiter, those two sisters were up to.
Yeah, Jupiter is actually down kind of below it, closer to the sun. And then if you live on the East Coast, over on the east side, you can, see the horizon. You might be able to see Mercury. as well. It's just kind of one of those weird alignments where you can see those 3 planets.
I was
all at once.
looking at that this morning as I was making my way to work. There's the moon, and there was a star. I thought a star, but it's a planet, Venus, right?
Venus, that's
okay,
right,
gotcha. It's spectacular. How many days is it going to be like that? Will we get that tonight?
It'll be tonight for the next few days. The one that throws a wrench in it all is Mercury. Mercury goes around the sun really quickly, so it's going to go and just disappear here in the next couple
you
of
and
days.
the sound effects.
I know,
this
right? I got it going, but not bad with only one tooth. So but this actually should last a little longer. I think Venus and Jupiter will actually appear to get a little closer together because of the way they are in their orbits. Jupiter is really on the other side of the sun right now, which is why it's not real bright. Venus is actually at its halfway point as it gets ready to go on around as well. So they will appear to get closer together because Venus is moving much faster than Jupiter. And so
I had to
just look
put
for
you
that.
on the Facebook Live here this morning so everybody could see you.
Yeah, because I got my, got my hand
the
signals.
hand gestures going.
Yeah, I got to make that one hand gesture. Thanks for letting me know.
Right. What are we? What else is playing around here this morning? I got Bert Duarte, Leah Beth Nahalawa, Roland Sondia is there. Joseph, Leah Sialangi is there. Happy New Year, Brother Ray. Well, Happy New Year to you, Brother Joe. Renee and Pat Taitigui are there. Jade Zeet Tatminglu and Cindy Cruz Rapadas. Albert Elias and Greg Karabrock from Take Care is there. I see. I got the cup there. That's how I'm starting the new year, with coffee inside of that. My friend Paz Affligui and where's the eyeballs? There she is. Anita Muffness with the Valentine's eyes that are already up on it this morning. Landon Nadler, good morning. Henry Gonzalez and Simon Sanchez there. As we're starting our new year, Lady D says, spent the weekend doing repairs to start the new year. Well, you know what? That's not a bad thing. It's nice to get things squared away as much as you can as you go into the new year. There does need to be a little bit of a closing of the year, and I took a look at some of the items on like my project list, personal project list, and business project list, and there are some things that I just wasn't able to get to in 2018, and we'll just add those to the pile in 2019. In addition to some of the other priorities that we've got working here at the radio station. I see Joe Bloss and Lucas Perez, Ken Duenas, and Molly Ann Gallo Perez. Happy New Year to you and the family as well. And as other names pop up here on this. Say it again now. Wednesday morning. I'll go ahead and say hello to everybody. Bobby Titano, nice to see you there, and Ken Leon Guerrero. So what have we got for items in the table of contents that are going to be very, very interesting? A couple of things. As I said, some names that have been added to the fiscal discipline team, and it looks like there's going to be new leadership over at GITA. And this morning, I will spend a little bit of time talking with the new administrator who over at GITA. Her name is Mel Mendiola, and you've heard her on this radio station and on this program before, because I've been trying to help her out as much as possible in her position at the University of Guam and at the foundation there. And it looks like her talent has been discovered by the new administration, and she will be taking over where Jay Rojas leaves off. And a little bit later on, we think about inaugurations. And try not to forget that there's a bundle of them that are going to be going on. There's the inauguration of the legislature that's going to take place, the historic legislation of our inauguration of our first woman governor, Lou Leon Guerrero, and our first openly bald lieutenant governor, Josh Tenorio, going to be taking place sometime soon. But there is one other inauguration that's going to take place in just a couple of days. Do you remember? Mike St. Nicholas. Congressman Mike St. Nicholas. You remember, because we had the election and somebody finally beat Madeline Bradalio for the gig, and this Mike St. Nicholas is going to take place. He sent an invitation. It's on Facebook Live, and apparently we're all invited to go and hang out with him for the inaugural that is going to take place. And if you hold on just a second, I'll see if I can call up the image on my phone. It's in the gallery. I just stuck it there a few minutes ago. There. You are cordially invited to the swearing-in ceremony for Michael F.Q. St. Nicholas, member of the 116th Congress, Thursday, January the 3rd, 2019, from 11 until 3 at the 1632 Longworth Office Building, which is in Washington, D.C. if I got on the plane now, I might actually be able to make it in time to go and participate in this. I don't know, Mike, if you're listening. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. If I knew anybody out in Washington, Virginia area, I'd have them swing by and send hellos. But congratulations on your inauguration. I just want to make sure that didn't get forgotten in the bustle of all of the things that we're going to be doing around here. He's got a new somebody working the district office here, Jennifer Wynn. That Jennifer Wynn, and she's going to be in the program this morning about 9 o'clock. So we've got Mel coming in about 8:30. At 9, it's going to be Jen. We'll talk about Mel's priorities and some of the things that she's going to want to do over at GETA and find out a little bit more about ways that maybe the district office around here is going to be interacting, certainly with the media, but everybody else that might want a thing or two to come out of Washington, D.C., i.e. cockfighting ban? Huh? Are you serious? You've been doing it. Did you hear the thing about what Bavacqua said over the weekend? Says that there's likely been some kind of bird fighting going on even before the Spanish got here and brought chickens. They're probably ancient Chamorros that killing time with pigeons or other kind of birds and making those fight. So this, another example of the snubbery of the federal government all the way out here to us colonials. And maybe that will come up in our conversation. I do want to say congratulations to the family of Malachi Mafnas. First baby born in 2019, and a ton of loot from Archway, which is the new tradition around here, which is kind of nice. Now, you might be going, is there more that can be made of this other than saying, welcome to the world and welcome to the first baby of 2019?
Maybe give something to the parents of the baby that was born 2 minutes later.
Maybe, right? Yeah. Second place. Doesn't count. I'm a racer. I know about things like that. 631. But do you remember the pretty lady that was in here on Monday? Mm-hmm. Darlene Garcia coming in here talking about grief recovery and the difference between self-love and narcissism. And it was a whole kind of hour, and I didn't want to do any more political gossip, or I didn't want to end the year that way. I wanted to end the year with something hopeful for 2019, so I had her come in and talk about just positive attitude for the year. And that's the grandmother of Malachi. That's the connection. If you take a look at the picture on front page of the PDN there, she's the lady with the Wonder Woman outfit. Let me see if I can get her on the camera here. That's the lady that was in the studio with me on Monday. And you can still go. In fact, I know a couple of people that weren't able to catch it live, but were able to hear the audio, the video on demand on Facebook. That is good. Anybody know how Bob Klitsky is? He closed out his Tall Tales show early on Monday. It was Monday, Mo. He had apparently a coughing spell that he couldn't get over. I did send him a WhatsApp the other day to find out if he's okay, but I think we're going to need to make a telephone call to Auntie Lou and make sure he's going to be all right for Tall Tales this afternoon. Haven't heard anything otherwise. So I'll assume that he's going to be coming in until I hear otherwise. It's 6:32, and here it is, the first of the big headlines from the Guam Daily Post for 2019. Kevin?
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the Guam Economic Development Authority allocated nearly 2/3 of the community cash contributions it received over the past 5 years to its own marketing and economic development operations. That, according to an audit released by the Office of Public Accountability on Monday. 14 of the 20 active qualifying certificate recipients are required to make community cash contributions in return for the tax benefits they've been granted under the QC program. According to the audit, $2.2 million, or 73% of the community cash contributions received between the 2013 and 2017 fiscal years has been spent on GETA's marketing and development operations. Of that amount, $335,000 spent on marketing expenses related to trade missions, hotel investment conferences, and forums. The remaining $1.8 million was used for economic development, which, unlike the marketing expenses, GETA does not monitor separately. According to the report, that could mean that cash contributions may have funded GETA's normal daily operations, and the audit recommends that GETA start tracking how the funds are spent. In Superior Court Monday, the prosecution said that a test has confirmed that The DNA of Airman Luis Varga was found following a rape kit test conducted on the alleged 9-year-old rape victim. The 33-year-old Vargas is facing charges of first-degree criminal sexual conduct and second-degree criminal sexual conduct with special allegations of committing a crime against a vulnerable victim after he allegedly assaulted the child at a housing unit in Manilao in July of last year. Judge Anita Sokola has set a trial date in the case for May 8th. The Department of Corrections still owes the Guam Memorial Hospital more than $2 million for providing medical services to the inmates at the adult correctional facility during the 2018 fiscal year. DOC Director Tony Lamarena telling the Post that was the year the legislature only appropriated $650,000 for the medical clinic at the prison, and the only way that DOC is going to be able to pay that is through another appropriation from the legislature. GMH Chief Financial Officer Benita Manglonia telling the Post that the cost of staffing and providing medical services at the prison clinic is roughly $3 million. She acknowledged that DOC paid what was appropriated in 2018, but that was far short of the cost of operating that clinic. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Hey, iConnect time is 6:35 in the morning. Connect for less. Push-to-talk mobile internet plans. You got some great ones to start off your new year with. Find out details at iConnectGuam.com.
Welcome to Subway's ad for the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich. How would you like it?
I would like it to predict my future.
My pleasure.
I see. Your future, a delicious moment in the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich with steak, jalapeno peppers, and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Wait, I foresee an imminent spell that is going to entice you. It's the crunchy bread with sunflower seeds, which provides an enchanting flavor. Don't miss it, and be mindful. The portal of the Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich is open for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
Nothing traffic. I don't see anything that is going to slow anybody down seriously in front of Anderson Air Force Base, Big Navy, or Navy Hospital. Looks like there might be a tiny bit of traffic that is going outbound from right in front of the airport. Traffic beginning to build up at that light, but it's not doing anything serious. I don't see anything that's going to be a major issue right now. I'll keep an eye on the traffic gizmo, and you keep an eye on the roadways. Anything that other drivers need to know about? 888-8255, or send me what do you call it? The WhatsApp at 988-5874. 637, that's right now traffic on the point.
Introducing Exchanged, Guam's first online and mobile remittance to the Philippines. Exchanged is the easiest and fastest way to send money to your family and friends anywhere in the Philippines. Download the Exchanged app or visit their website, exchange.me. Sign up, remit, and get a chance to win a trip for two to Manila. Deluxe accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. So sign up and remit now at Exchanged. Promo ends March 2nd, 2019. Conditions apply. Also avail of Exchange dollar to remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters.
Let's see what we got going on here this morning, and it's the Ray Gibson Show. For those of you that just tuned in, 6:37, 6:38 now in the morning, and a whole bunch of stuff in front of us, and a whole bunch of different places where we can take the show. Normally, like to keep pushing forward. I'm not one of those guys that leans back too often, but I did get something in the WhatsApp, and normally it's somebody will send me a piece of video or a picture or something kind of along those lines. But in this case, it's a piece of audio, and I hope you don't mind, Mike, if you could. I'm going to see if I can get Mike's attention. I'm going to play some audio here from the WhatsApp. And it is a piece of audio that I presume came out of the Maina Church somewhere around midnight on Monday. It's okay to clap in church. It's especially when you got that. The Maina Harmony Church Choir and their version, English and Chamorro version of Auld Lang Syne. The one tune that we belt out with gusto at least once a year. 6:41 in the morning. Thanks so much for sending me that audio. It's one of those. I think we're going to save that and maybe put that in the archive so that when it gets to be New Year's Eve on 2019, we can bust that out and remember what a treat it was this morning. 641-888-8255. Mo Cotton very concerned about the situation with Bob Klitsky, who had to depart the program on New Year's Eve because he was ill. So let's check and see if Bob Klitsky is alive.
Well, I'm alive and kicking, Ray.
I'm very glad to hear that, because otherwise we would have had to put some junk on in your place this afternoon at 4, and the listeners would not have approved. Tell me a little bit about what happened on Friday or on Monday, and what it was. See, now this is good because it means that you've got twice the show that you can do today. All the junk that you didn't get to on Monday, you can do today.
Right. Well, I've been laboring with a cough since. Let's see, December, I think 22nd, 23rd on a Saturday, and it just hangs on. And then on Monday, I was coughing again, and all of a sudden I was overcome by a feeling of nausea, and felt it necessary to leave the radio booth.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to take a look at some of the stories that were taking place on Monday, and which ones might have given you that nauseous feeling. I mean, it was, look, the governor vetoed the or more bill. I mean, certainly that must have made you feel good.
It did.
Yeah. It was, I'm looking to see if there's anything else here that you've had the informational briefing, but we talked about that. I don't know.
He also vetoed that ridiculous digital sign bill.
Right. And the Cortec and the Cortec gimme for 100% of their taxes.
I thought that was good legislation, but the veto was so predictable considering the way the legislature handled it.
We spent a little bit of time talking about that on the radio this afternoon. So you're going to be on at 4, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I hope you're feeling better, and hope Auntie Lou took good care of you.
She certainly did.
I'll bet. It's 6:44 in the morning, and he does sound great, doesn't he? He sounded a whole lot better than he did, than he has over the last couple of days. So it's good to see he's back in fighting shape. 644-888-8255. Lillian online says, can you post the song on the Point Facebook? I will see what I can do. No guarantees on that, and I figure it's probably deep in the public domain, but you never know with Facebook. Sometimes they'll just for whatever reason decide that they like the media or they don't like the media that we're uploading. We'll just have to wait and see. Charlene Marchessault is there. Anna Salazar is online. Sahara Defensor. And Sahara, is it almost time to start talking about, I don't know, maybe some career events in your life? Dave Duenas and Frankie Gutierrez, Eunice Mendiola, Doris Mendiola, Lynn Perez is on. I see my buddy Renee Lau. Who is online and maybe this morning waking up early so that he can go and do some hill training, because the Guam Running Club has got the big 10-miler race. It's and it's not just that you got to race 10 miles. You start over at Cross Island Road, and literally you start the race on a hill that takes you up into Cross Island, and then there's plenty more hills there before we get down in the Agate area. All right, so items in the table of contents. We'll just go through all of this stuff. I think the biggest deals in my head are the continuing memos and releases coming from the folks over at the transition office. They have made announcements now about who's going to be running things in the health part of the island, but they finished up with the fiscal discipline team members, and I'm delighted to see that Daphne Shimizu has been tapped, Vice President of Finance and Chief Financial Officer over at Staywell. I'm delighted to hear that she has now been tapped to be the Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation. I think that's a strong pick there, if for no other reason because she's been doing my taxes for the last bunch of years, and has always been pretty straightforward and fair in the treatment of my financial resources and what that meant for the government of Guam. At any rate, so congratulations to Daft Shimizu. Michelle Santos will be the Deputy Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation, currently the existent Executive Director on the Board of Accountancy. Ed Byrne is going to stay over in his position as at the Department of Administration. He is the director there currently. Appointed so back in February, and I kind of remember how all that got started. We had just gotten into the conversation about fiscal crisis in the government of Guam, and then started hearing about it with a little bit more urgency from Ed Byrne. So he's going to continue to keep that seat warm. Edith Pangilinan, the Deputy Director of the Department of Administration, and Les Carlson is going to be hanging over as Director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. Currently the Acting Director and previously the Deputy Director of BBMR. He's got 30 years of government service and a decade of private sector experience. We haven't always agreed on everything, but he's a good friend and has done, I think, a pretty righteous job over in that place. I'm delighted to see that he is going to be hanging over as well. Tyrone Taitano, no stranger in the government of Guam. Melanie Mendiola, the Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority, and we will hear from her a little bit later on in the program. She'll be going to be wandering in about 8:30 in the morning to tell me about how she got picked for the job, what she is looking forward to doing on the job. And it's interesting, it happens on a day that many of the top stories, and certainly one of the top stories that we've got here for you is how BJ Cruz, who is it me or is anybody else getting Bitmojis from BJ? He's discovered Bitmoji and has now been communicating with me using that. So I'll ask him a question. I get a Bitmoji answer. It'll be interesting to see how this goes. I don't know if there's any Bitmojis from BJ on the recent audit that was conducted by the Office of Public Accountability. Gita spent $2 million on marketing.
Actually, that headline's wrong. It's not $2 million on marketing, only $350,000 on marketing, and the rest was spent on development. So it's been corrected online.
Okay, but on other, I guess, is and so the question.
So they're questioning some of those expenses from the community funds. Yeah.
All right. So about $335,000 of community funds spent on marketing, but the rest.
And $1.8 million on development issues, which were questioned by the audit. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe we'll get to somebody and figure out what those other development issues were. I mean, if
that's the question.
Yeah, that's so we're out there on a bond mission and airfare, hotel accommodations, taking guys out for drinks and dinner after we've popped the champagne on the sale. Are those things considered some of those development costs? We'll find out is the answer to that question. And so the last one is Rick Hernandez, Deputy Administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority. And I guess the question that many people were asking is it possible that these positions will be organic based on what's happening with that budget law? And the answer, at least from one person, was no. But in another case, yes. So they're going ahead with the director and deputy director positions in the incoming administration. There's a second immediate release that came out over the weekend. In fact, on New Year's, keep calling it a weekend. Lillian Posadas is the answer to the question of who is going to be running Guam Memorial Hospital soon. Ms. Perez Posadas, a registered nurse, currently employed with United Airlines as its manager for their workers' compensation and medical programs, and she is going to take on the role of what's happening over at GMH. Currently serving as a member of the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority Board of Trustees, so she's got a little bit of working knowledge of what's happening at the University of Guam. Also worked 7 years as nursing courses, fundamentals in nursing, medical surgical nursing, community health nursing, and leadership in nursing at the University of Guam. So somebody that, as I said, knows a way around what's happening in the hospital and might be among those, and I hope, without being too critical of the current batch that's running things, just watching the dollars escape the hospital. Maybe she will be able to do something about that. And another name I'm delighted to tell you about, Linda Unpinko DeNorsi, Director of the Department of Public Health and Social Services. I'm delighted to see that, if for no other reason, because I've seen some of the miracles that she's been able to accomplish with the Southern and Northern Region Community Health Centers. practically built those things from scratch. So it's nice to see that they're giving her a couple of big positions. We'll get around to a couple of the other names here in just a second. Jay Rojas is on the line. Good morning, Jay.
Happy New Year, Ray.
Happy New Year to you. Are you feeling short at all?
Oh, not at all.
You don't have short timeritis?
Well, just a little. But it's only three more days left.
Three more days before you hand things over to Mel. As I said, I got her coming in about 8:30. Remind me before we get to the end of this conversation about some advice that you might be able to give her to streamline the process of moving into your office and streamline her role as director of GITA over the next couple of years. Anyway, so tell me about this.
Streamline my way out.
What's that?
And streamline my way out.
And streamline your way out. So tell me about the public auditor and the audit that they did on the community cash. Anything interesting about that story?
Actually, the only thing that we really wanted to look at with the OPA audit is essentially that how misunderstood the community cash contributions are with the public itself. So in essence, the community contributions for the qualifying certificates are there to be able to help us sustain the economic development and new growth of new businesses and new industries on the island. So in the event of the qualifying certificates that were mentioned in the Post article, as well as in the OPA audit, what we're essentially looking at is using some of that community cash to be able to help the GITA actually focus on economic development and marketing of the island to be able to move forward. And that's, I think, where they kind of lost their focus, is they're really only dividing it up between marketing and economic development. So in the OPA audit, which is what the Post article had actually mentioned, it's not questioning the costs of where the money is going. It's just that they want us to break down a little bit further if community cash contributions are being used for salary or for supply purchases or for travel or for anything else. So we only divide it up in our audits annually and our budget that GITA actually uses the money either towards marketing or towards economic development.
Yeah.
And our argument is if any money is used towards GITA, it's going towards economic development because GITA doesn't have any other functions besides economic development. So if it's used for salary for our real property development group, if it's used for salary for our administrative group and our accounting division, if it's used for supplies for any of them, if it's used for contracts to be able to look at helping us with some of our data analytics and whatnot, that's all towards economic development. And what they're just asking us to do is break it down a little bit further.
Yeah.
So it's not questioning the costs. It's actually just recommending and finding that what we really should do is kind of break it down, saying, well, of that $2.2 million, then this much has been used on salary, this much has been used. But what we usually do is just throw it into our GITA general fund.
Yeah, and just call it, we're spending it for development.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, are there any prohibitions on those funds? You'd mentioned salary and payroll a couple of times. Is that not prohibited?
No, not at all. Again, GITA is an autonomous agency, and in our enabling legislation, the board and the management of GITA can actually use its revenues the way that it deems necessary.
Yeah.
And that's within our purview.
And now, is those spendings within the purview of the director itself, or do you need to have that all blessed by the board?
Well, everything is actually blessed by the board. So, in the media this year, I should say last year, thank God, in the media last year, the accusations kept saying the GITA administrator, Jay Rojas, has actually taken this money and used it for this, that, and the other thing. Well, it's actually assigned during the budget process, which is done by the board. So, that's really where a lot of that misconception as far as what GITA even does is kind of out there. And that's one of the things that I did mention to Mel when we actually did speak upon the announcement of her moving on in. People just don't understand, the complexities of GITA and exactly what we do, and how, we do actually report to a board. So the community contributions have been established and they've been set up. What has been used towards marketing, what has been used towards economic development throughout every fiscal year has actually been assigned by the board during the open government process.
Right. If you want details, the minutes of all the meetings are generally there online.
Absolutely. So,
should be able to go and see what's going on. So that was a piece of information, and I think advice that you gave Mel is that there probably needs to be a little bit more by way of education of what GITA is and what their mission and role is in this community. Otherwise, if you look at it, I think if you just look at headlines every once in a while, you get the feeling like it's just some kind of slushy fund for junkets to go and buy bonds.
Absolutely, and that's not just the thing, and it's also that again, GITA is an autonomous agency, and what we actually have to do is we have to raise our own revenues, and it's up to us to be able to spend it. Unfortunately, we don't have the dedicated funding source that some of the other areas has. GBB, for example, has the hot taxes and the hotel occupancy tax and the tourist attraction fund. To be able to go out and use those funds to be able to attract us the visitors. Well, GITA is there for economic development of not just the tourism industry, but everything else. And one of the things that we kept saying is, we don't really want to take the tourist attraction fund away from GBB, but align a little bit more of some of the revenues that does happen to be able to help GITA go out and promote tourism, just like we promote everything else, from that manufacturing to agriculture to other industries that are out there. And there should be some way for us to be able to get those funds, even if it does mean that it actually does receive where GITA would actually be receiving taxes. Because again, what we do is we receive money from community contributions where we actually give tax credits away for qualifying certificates, or we receive funds from, or receive some of our revenue from the bonds that we actually do go out and refinance or sell.
Yeah, well, and it's possible for people in the community and different departments and agencies to come back to you and make those specific requests for community cash. 6:57, and just enough time, I think, between now and Fox News coming up to find out where are you going to go up? Where are you going to turn up next now that you're going to be out of GITA in 3 days?
Well, actually, the only thing that's on my plan right now and on my radar is to be able to take some time off. So this has been a crazy but amazing 5 years that I've actually had moving into the government positions. But I am going to eventually end up back in the private sector. I just actually have not had a break in 5 years. So I'm probably just going to take some time, chill.
I forgot what is it that you do for a living when you're not working for a government? I forgot what you did.
Yeah, me too.
Was it real estate development? I can't remember.
No, it's actually everything. So, my background is essentially in HR, but it's everything from management consulting to leadership to development and whatnot. So I do have a couple of offers. I just haven't decided which ones I'm going to be taking.
Huh. All right. Well, let me know. And if you need help, you need to put a name on your resume. You need a recommendation. I'm sure Shelley could scare something up for you.
Well, thank you.
Listen, Happy New Year to you, bud. I appreciate the time and the clarification on that. We'll talk again some more. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Jay Rojas, short timeritis going on over at GITA, and he's going to, I think, happily toss the keys in Mel's direction as he runs from the door, and from there onto an airplane to go and take some delicious time off. Hey, we got to take a quick news break. Got Fox News Live coming up on the other side of that. Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all of the big stories. Hey, Amanda Shelton is online on Facebook Live. Tim Lujan, Linda Gabriel, and Jeff Pleadwell. I see Carl Fukuda is there, Ed Cruz. Ted Lewis asking who's going to be over at DepCorp. Sam Brennan is going to be over at DepCorp. We'll talk about that and plenty more as the program continues. We're KUSG Agana. There's Fox News.
An American arrested in Russia. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The former Marine accused of being a spy. His family expressing concern for his safety.
Paul Whelan's family says the entire situation in Moscow is a complete misunderstanding and he could be in serious danger. Kremlin officials are not backing away from their claim that 48-year-old Whelan is being detained for spying. The government is not releasing much more information on his arrest, but the family is pleading to get him home safely. Whelan is a retired Marine from Michigan, family members say he was in Russia for a wedding, certainly not any kind of espionage operation. Now, we do know that Russian authorities took him into custody on Friday. A State Department spokesperson says the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has formally notified the U.S. Department of State that his detention and international law requires Russia grant U.S. officials access to him.
Fox's David Spunt. As the government shutdown is now in its 11th day, the White House says President Trump has invited congressional leaders to the White House tomorrow for a briefing with the Department of Homeland Security. One of the sticking points of the shutdown, the border wall.
House Democrats will vote to reopen the government later this week, releasing details of a spending package that would not approve any new money for President Trump's border wall. The two bills would fund most agencies impacted by the partial government shutdown through September. The Department of Homeland Security would be funded into early February. That bill would also include $1.3 billion for border security. It's unclear if the Senate would take up the package. Republican leaders say they won't take action on legislation that does not have the president's support.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. A child has been injured in a rhino exhibit at the Brevard Zoo in Florida. The zoo releasing a statement saying the child stumbled and fell between poles separating people from the animals. And when that happened, the snout of at least one rhino made contact with the child. The child and family were taken to a hospital. Their condition not known at this time. This is Fox News.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Chili's 3 for Me menu just got bigger. We're giving you more choices for the same great price. For just $15, you can get a beverage, salad, and an entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a house salad and select your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our half-rack ribs, Cajun chicken pasta, old-timer burger, personal chicken fajitas, or the flavorful margarita flatbread. So hurry in today and enjoy our Chili's 3 for Me menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
The leader of North Korea taking a swipe at the Trump administration during an address to his nation.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has fired a warning shot to the U.S., saying he wants sanctions lifted to keep diplomatic relations positive. He made the comments in his annual New Year's address. It was a more peaceful speech than in previous years, this time focusing on the country's economy rather than weapons production. Large crowds watched it on screens in Pyongyang during colourful New Year's celebrations. Kim Jong-un says he's prepared to meet President Trump again to help break the deadlock in negotiations with the US. At a summit last June, North Korea agreed to denuclearization, but talks have stalled since then over how to implement the details. In London, Kitty Logan, Fox News.
The NASA spacecraft New Horizons opens the new year at the most distant world ever explored, 1 billion miles beyond Pluto. Queen guitarist Brian May, who was an astrophysicist, joined the team at Johns Hopkins for a midnight premiere of the song he wrote for the big event. 2018's in the books, but a few college football teams got to celebrate bowl victories before the ball dropped.
Texas A&M running back Travion Williams made Gator Bowl history with 236 rushing yards to go with 3 touchdowns as the Aggies romped North Carolina State 52-13. Northwestern rallied back to win the Holiday Bowl, taking down Utah 31-20 thanks to 28 unanswered points from the Wildcats. A touchdown on a fumble recovery in the fourth gives Stanford the Sun Bowl win over Pitt 14-13. Justin Herbert's passing touchdown was all Oregon needed for a 7-6 win over Michigan State in the Red Box Bowl. Cincinnati comes away with a tug-of-war win over Virginia Tech in the Military Bowl 35-31, and Oklahoma State held off a late Missouri rally for a 38-33 victory in the Liberty Bowl. Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
A Massachusetts judge has denied Kevin Spacey's request to skip his appearance in court on accusations he groped a teenager. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
At Guam Regional Medical City, it is our mission to become the island's premier choice for specialty care, like cardiology, pulmonology, neurosciences, orthopedics, oncology services, and more. We aim to protect our island from heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and diabetic complications. But should you suffer from such diseases, we're ready with world-class options, both inpatient and outpatient. For more information, visit us at grmc.gu.
Welcome to Subway's ad for the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich. How would you like it?
I would like it to predict my future.
My pleasure.
I see your future. Delicious moment in the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich with steak, jalapeno peppers, and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Wait, I foresee an imminent spell that is going to entice you. It's the crunchy bread with sunflower seeds, which provides an enchanting flavor. Don't miss it, and be mindful. The portal of the Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich is open for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
Introducing Exchanged, Guam's first online and mobile remittance to the Philippines. Exchanged is the easiest and fastest way to send money to your family and friends anywhere in the Philippines. Download the Exchanged app or visit their website, exchange.me. Sign up, remit, and get a chance to win a trip for two to Manila. Deluxe accommodations at the Belmont Hotel at Resorts World Manila. So sign up and remit now at Exchanged. Promo ends March 2nd, 2019. Conditions apply. Also avail of Exchange dollar to remit promo. Visit exchange.me for details.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor-elect Lou Leon Guerrero naming the remaining members of her so-called fiscal discipline team, including two holdovers from the outgoing Calvo administration. Daphne Shimizu has been tapped to take over the Department of Rev and Tax. Michelle Santos has been named deputy director there. Melanie Mendiola chosen to be the administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority with Ricky Hernandez as her deputy. Edward Byrne, who is currently the director of the Department of Administration in the Calvo administration, has been asked to stay on in that same position. And Lester Carlson, another holdover from the Calvo administration, he's currently acting director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. He has now been named director of that executive branch agency. Also, Tyrone Tightno has been nominated director of the Bureau of Statistics and Plans. Earlier this month, former BBMR director Bertha Duenas was named chief advisor on fiscal discipline and economic growth for the new administration. In a release making the announcements Monday, Leon Guerrero said her fiscal discipline team is committed to providing the leadership necessary to put our government's financial house in order. And the first priority, she said, would be to conduct a full review of GovGuam's finances, as well as collect taxes that are rightfully owed. The governor-elect also announcing her choices for key GovGuam health agencies Monday. Lillian Posadas, nominated to be the administrator of Guam Memorial Hospital, and Linda Unpinko Denorsi has been named director of the Department of Public Health and Social Services. After the new administration is sworn in next Monday, a few days from now, the names of all of the nominees will be transmitted to the legislature for confirmation. The nominees will serve in an acting capacity until confirmed. Guam Economic Development Authority allocating nearly two-thirds of the community cash contributions over the past 5 years to its own marketing and economic development operations, according to an audit released by the Office of Public Accountability Monday. Businesses that get qualifying certificates are required to make community cash contributions in return for the tax benefits they get from GIDA. According to the audit, $2.2 million, or 73% of the community cash contributions were spent on GIDA's marketing and development operations. Of that amount, only $335,000 was spent on marketing. The remaining $1.8 million was used for economic development, which, unlike the marketing expenses, GIDA does not monitor separately. According to the audit report, that could mean that cash contributions may have funded GIDA's normal daily operations like payroll and supplies, and the audit recommends GIDA start tracking how those funds are actually spent. More news after this.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Guam Regional Medical City, we bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. In Superior Court Monday, the prosecution said a rape kit test has confirmed that the DNA of Airman Luis Vargas was found on the alleged 9-year-old victim in the case. The 33-year-old Vargas is facing charges of first and second-degree criminal sexual conduct with a special allegation of committing a crime against a vulnerable victim. He's alleged to have assaulted the girl at a housing unit in Manilao in July last year. Assistant Attorney General Christine Tenorio told Judge Anita Socola that Mr. Vargas's DNA was found on the rape kit. Vargas's defense attorney, Stephen Attore, told the judge they may motion the court for their own experts. Judge Socola set a trial date for May 8th. However, Tenorio also said she has sent the defense a plea agreement. Department of Corrections still owes the Guam Memorial Hospital Authority more than $2 million for providing medical services to the inmates at the adult correctional facility during the 2018 fiscal year. DOC Director Tony Lamorena telling the Post that was the year that the legislature only appropriated $650,000 for the clinic, and the only way DOC is going to be able to pay the remaining balance owed is through another appropriation by the legislature. GMA's Chief Financial Officer, Benita Manglona, telling the Post that the cost of staffing and providing medical services at the prison clinic is roughly $3 million annually. She acknowledged that DOC paid what was appropriated in 2018, but that was far short of the cost of operating that clinic. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
Mostly sunny and breezy with isolated light showers for today. Northeast winds 15 to 25 miles an hour. Highs around 88 degrees and overnight lows should be about 77 degrees. I'm going to reboot the radar here so I can get a fresh picture of it. Sunrise tonight, sunrise tomorrow at 6:44 in the morning. Sunset tonight at 6:05. We're using that order this year again, right? Where we do sunrise in the morning and sunset at night.
Right.
Okay, we're going to stay with that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's good. High surf advisory is in effect. A higher risk of rip currents are also in effect. I don't know exactly when this is going to expire. Just stay out of the water because I said so. All right, now here's a look at what's happening on the radar screen.
Yep, and most of the activity well to our south. There may be a stray shower or two blowing through today, but I'm not expecting too much. Should be just nice and sunny, windy, just a few clouds. One cool thing that does kind of tie in with weather it's really only possible right now because of the weather we're getting. We were talking earlier about the planetary alignment. You could still walk outside right now. It's daylight and look at the moon, and you'll see Moon and Venus there. You know, we have this idea that, you know, when the sun comes up, this blue sky blocks us from everything it harms. We can't see anything out there. It's just a thin ethereal veil, and you can see right through it right now and look back out into space.
Thin ethereal veil.
Yeah.
You are a poet warrior.
Trying.
Lovely. 7:13. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itinotmo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
And great to have you on board in 2019. Also great to have on board in 2019 Nanbo Insurance. You save up to 50% with Nanbo Insurance's Bundle Up Plan. Call them today at 477-9754. Portions of the program also brought to you by my buddies over at King's Restaurant, where they've still got the crazy menu. Because, every day is a holiday at King's, and every meal is a banquet. Find out about some of the incredible meals that they put together just for the holidays. Or maybe, you know what? I just want eggs and bacon. Can we fix that up? Yes, they'll do that for you at King's. and maybe there comes a time, and maybe I ought to leave the camera on you for a little bit, just so we can go through some of the hand gestures that listeners don't necessarily get to see. Now, as an example, this is the producer stuff here. When I'm supposed to do the Kings live read, what's the hand gesture? That's a crown. And
it's supposed to be. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a crown. To remind me of Kings. When it's Subway, what's the one for Subway?
Under the street.
and if I'm doing Cold Stone,
that's a C.
It's just a regular old C. And if it's Wendy's,
you get the W.
There we go. And now everybody can do the Ray Gibson Show, because now you know all of the producers.
I got to make a new one for Nanbo.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have Nanbo yet.
Or insurance?
I'll think of something.
Something will pop up here in a little bit. 888-8255-888-TALK. Nanbo Insurance, again, the bundle up plan, 477-975. 4 portions of the program also brought to you by my friends over at American President Lines. They're shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. And Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for all of your open heart surgical needs.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
What are the shenanigans that are going on online here? What kind of questions are we getting here? How many days until Christmas? 357 days between now and Christmas of 2019. Good morning, Nate Hornan. That's right. We'll have this standing by for next year. And you know what? And just for grins, we ought to do a Christmas in July, just so we can play that sound effect again and not have to wait a whole year. Yeah, Carl Fukuda says that was awesome and so much fun. It's true. There are times where he could just open the microphone and tell me what to say. But yeah, there's a lot of hand gestures that take place between the producer and those of us on the quote talent side of the microphone.
The appearance is supposed to be that I'm not actually here.
Really?
Well, that's what they're supposed to say.
Yeah, whatever. Bob and Connie Bartonico are online. My buddies Chris Watson there, Pete Guerrero, Yoit Ringil, Melissa Salas Akimoto, John Rain. Nice to see you online, and nice to get the missus on the phone in the last couple of days. Andy Tarenko is playing around Facebook Live, and there's a whole gaggle of people that have joined up as well. Good to have you guys on board. 717. What am I supposed to do now? Do I keep talking? Did we finish the break already? Okay. Yeah, must be the third day of January, where there's just not a whole lot by way of advertising, paid revenue. So all of the radio stations are going to be doing a lot of talk and playing a lot of songs over the next couple of days until the market recovers from the big spend that was the holiday season.
The difference between us and them is they won't actually say anything.
Yeah, that's true. But I still got 4 hours to kill. That's the deal. That is the deal. All right, so take a look at what happened on the market. The only way that I can make some kind of comparison on where we are with the Dow is that it's down big from where we started the year 365 days ago, 23,327. I remember being at my dad's house on New Year's, looking at some of those numbers and thinking, wow, can you look at where the Dow has gone today? It's just crazy up there, 25,000 and change, 23,327, though that number is up from trading. Shouldn't see any new numbers from that for a couple of days because it's going to be the holiday. NASDAQ at 66.35 and the S&P 500 at 2,506. They're up by a couple of points as well. Take a look at some of the other commodities. Gold at $1,284, picked up about $1.70. Silver at $15.56. Were you going to give me another
you
answer?
remember March 29th, 1999, right?
What was I doing on March 29th, 1999?
Not sure.
Whatever she said, it's not true.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah?
That's when the Dow first hit 10,000.
There you go. There's, you know what, and that's a good milestone. So and remember, there was a big deal that was made about that. And generally, we make a big deal when it passes another 1,000 points. But the trading has been just so crazy in the last 2 or 3 years. And take a look at where the markets have been and where those 1,000-point increments are, and see the velocity that we've hit in the last couple of years. So you got that. West Texas crude trading at $45.81. That's about in the same range that it has been in since the end of last year. And of course, we like to look at Tapis. Tapis at $56.94. That is up from where it was just a few days ago at $53.52. But we'd already talked about that. We'd already seen those numbers go to where they were going to be hitting. So we'll expect new Tapas numbers probably tomorrow. That should be the first sign of what's going to be happening in 2019. So that's what happened in the market. Now, before we get to Jerry Roberts and the extra point, there are people who will be making predictions of personal nature, of fiscal nature, about the year of the pig. That's where we are. 2019 on the Asian calendar is the pig or the boar. That's B-O-A-R, not B-O-R-E. The pig is a gourmet, faithful in friendship, stylish, a perfectionist, and hardworking. He's a tolerant being, recognized by his friends for his kindness and generosity. If you know somebody that was born in 2007 or 1995 or 1983, some of you born in 1971, well, your year of the pigs, 1959 for some of the older ones.
And Chinese New Year, February 5.
February 5th is when it's going to be. The pig is passionate, caring, and seductive. His big heart attracts faithful friends as well as others who seek to enjoy his benevolence with impunity. Despite appearances, he lacks self-confidence, and that is why he often needs demonstrations of affection and love. This also one of the reasons he has a way of caring for his image. Besides, fashion is often one of his favorite subjects, just as he cannot bear to be ignored. The slightest worry of money is for him a source of paralyzing anxiety. Easily irritable and resentful, it is better not to be the enemy of the pig. And what is the forecast for 2019? According to the Chinese horoscope, during the year of the pig, everything the pig wants to undertake or strengthen is successful. Luck and success in most areas greatly contributes to the pig's esteem. The pig is shining. The pig makes some people envious. New friends come naturally and in number, attracted by his beneficent and lucky aura. Some of these friends are well-intentioned and bring a natural reciprocity to their presence, while others, often the most difficult to identify, only seek to shamelessly enjoy the joyful and generous company of the pig. I'm looking, what does this mean? What's the economic forecast? What are we going to be doing? I don't care about individual pigs. I'm wondering what the year is going to hold. Somebody find me that and send me a link on Facebook Live. 722, Jerry Roberts and the extra points. Let's get to that.
At one time, it was understood by everybody, but not anymore. At one time, people had confidence in doing it, but not anymore. At one time, people actually did it, but not so much anymore. I'm Jerry Roberts, and I'm talking about the proper way to make a business introduction. Today, on The Extra Point, making a correct business introduction can make some people sweat. How do I do it? Who gets introduced first? After today, you'll never worry about this again. You'll give amazing introductions. Ready? Here we go. Rule number 1, gender doesn't matter. What does is organizational rank. If you're connecting a customer service manager to your CEO, you introduce the manager to the CEO, not the CEO to the manager. Like this. Dave Castro, this is Tina Pangilinan, the customer service manager of XYZ Corp. Tina Pangilinan, this is Dave Castro, our CEO at Island Enterprises. They greet each other and shake hands. You don't have to say first and last names twice, but it helps for people to hear the other person's full name twice, particularly if it's not a common name. The last thing you want is for one of the people asking the other, what was your last name again? Now let's say that you know something that might connect Dave and Tina and get their conversation off to a good start. After you've gone through the basic introduction, you could add, you'll both be happy to know that you share a love of running and you're big-time Dodgers fans. Now that brings an enthusiastic smile and maybe a Go Dodgers out of them, and things are off to a good start. Rule number 2, there is an exception to who gets introduced to who if one of the parties is a client of the other's company. In that case, you would introduce Dave, the CEO, to Tina, the customer service manager, who spends money with your company. It's the golden rule in introductions. Anybody spending the gold is the VIP in the encounter. In Guam, we're very informal, and this meetup often might sound like this. Hey, Dave, this is Tina Pangilinan. She runs customer service at XYZ Corp, and this is Dave Castro, the head honcho over at our place. Okay, it's not horrible and you can get away with it. It just sounds more professional when you do it the other way and makes a great impression on both parties, plus anybody else who might be in the group. They're going to think you really know what you're doing. Rule 3, keep it simple. If it's not a connector that adds to the intro, don't toss in any qualifiers. This could be something like, Tina is our favorite client, or Dave does great karaoke. Making a good business introduction is a lost art, and as mentioned, if you do it well, you're going to score a lot of points in the eyes of all those concerned. Practice a little, make up situations, and imagine you're the one making the introduction. What will you say? How about, that's the extra point? Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3 in The Ray Gibson Show, I'm Jerry Roberts.
And what is it that we want to eventually happen? I'd like to see the continuing adventures of Dave and Tina, where they have met now because we've introduced them, maybe perhaps fall in love, get married, have children, all of that kind of thing. And maybe, Jerry, as you put together some additional extra points for 2019, we can follow Dave and Tina along now that they have been introduced. 7:26 in the morning, 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. Take a look at traffic and headlines and more on the other side of these.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
7:27 in the morning, 888-8255. That's 888-TALK. And was looking for some an interesting businessy story that I could kind of link into this portion of the program between here and when we get around to headlines. There is on the CNBC website interesting predictions from Elon Musk, engineer and multi-bajillionaire, right? It's the guy that makes the little Tesla cars that my buddy in Hong Kong drives. Anyway, so they've asked him about some predictions or looked into some predictions that he is making. And not necessarily for 2019, but they're interesting predictions about the future. He says in 7 to 10 years, the first humans will colonize Mars. Been talking about that since November or so, and it will be an interesting kind of a colonial trip, because like the original colonial trips, basically have to burn the boats when they get there, because there's no coming back. You go all the way out there, and it's not like there's going to be another space station that you can launch from to get home. So for those of you that think maybe that might be a big career change for you, you want to talk about your lifestyle changes. Yeah, we're going to Mars and we're never coming back. That, I think, is an interesting prediction. There's another one that he makes about the cyberpunk pickup truck. Now, as I said, I have a friend that drives a Tesla. I went to go see him in May in Hong Kong, and normally, because he's a big bucks guy, right? Normally, he'd send a car for me. You know, it'd be somebody from the company, was a chauffeur, and he'd take me out to the slums of Repulse Bay. But in this case, because he wanted to show off his Tesla, he came and picked me up at the airport himself. And it was fantastic. I got to tell you, the drive is incredible, and I'm a gadget guy, and I was in love with the car the second that I got into it. But I'm also a truck guy, right? I like me a pickup truck. But there's no Tesla pickup truck yet. He's talking about maybe showing off a prototype this year. So for those of you that are thinking, yeah, it's time that we start getting things around here like that, and maybe something, I don't know, for the ranch, this could be the year that we see a Tesla pickup truck. But this one is the most impressive to me, and I sure do hope that they're able to do this in my lifetime. And he's predicting that we'll be able to connect our brains to computers in the next decade or so. He's working on a company called Neuralink. That's a company of his that is developing ultra-high bandwidth brain-machine interfaces to connect humans and computers. The long-term aspiration with Neuralink would be to achieve a symbiosis with artificial intelligence, to achieve a sort of democratization of intelligence such that it's not monopolistically held in a purely digital form by governments and large corporations. It'll be done by connecting computer electrodes to neurons in your brain, a chip and a bunch of tiny wires that will be implanted in the skull. He says maybe in the next 10 years.
Yeah, based on what I've seen on Facebook, there are going to be a lot of people that plug into that machine and get a blank screen.
Speaking of Facebook Live, who's there? My buddy Renee talking about Chinese New Year's. Says in Chinese culture, pigs are symbols of wealth and abundance. And if you're born under the years of the pig, your age should be divisible by 12. The pig is the last of the 12 Chinese zodiac animals. Dave Evans is there. Bob and Connie, like I said, there's Al Pablo, Rose, Bill Murphy. And Bobby Stringy has chimed in this morning. So it's nice to have everybody along. 7:30 in the morning and start making your predictions for 2019. Very, very welcome if you want to call those in. Otherwise, put them on Facebook Live. Is it time for traffic? No, it's time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Guam's new police chief says recruiting manpower will be his top priority. Captain Stephen Ignacio has been named by Governor-elect Leon Guerrero to lead the Guam Police Department. He's been a member of the force for 31 years and is currently the commander of the Agana Precinct. Captain Ignacio telling the Guam Daily Post that the biggest challenge of the department right now is lack of personnel. He said his first order of business will be to sit down with the command staff and work with them to see whether they can shift personnel around to maximize the number of officers out on patrol. And his next step will be to improve recruitment rates. Guam Land Use Commission has approved 2 subdivision applications, one in Manilao, the other in Jigo. In Manilao, the commission approved the application submitted by TRI, which plans to build 17 3-bedroom single-family homes on a 12,000 square meter lot along Route 10 and Old Price Road in Manilao. In Jigo, the commission approving an application from Wellborn for a subdivision that will have 121 single-family residences, 1 commercial development, and 6 open green areas. The development fronts Marine Corps Drive and is located near the Spring Hill subdivision. The first child born on American soil in the new year arrived at 19 minutes past midnight, New Year's Day, at Guam Memorial Hospital. Desiree Mofnis gave birth to a son named Malachi. The boy weighed in at 6.6 pounds and 17.9 inches in length. Malachi's father, Kyle Mofnis, is a Guam firefighter. He told reporters yesterday at the hospital that his wife and baby are healthy and happy, and that's all that matters. The Mofnis family was showered with over $6,000 worth of gifts from nearly 30 island businesses, thanks to Archway's I Love Guam New Year's Baby campaign, which has been sponsoring that particular promotion since 2005. Dr. Tom Shea delivered the baby, the 19th New Year's child that he has welcomed into the world. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Sometimes the things that you send me, I got Kevin always sends me something useful, and the headline on the blurb that he sent me just seconds ago: wielding rocks and knives, Arizonans attack self-driving cars.
Yeah, it's
what the? All right, I'll take a look at that story here in just a second. And somebody sent me another flash. We were talking about Elon Musk's idea that maybe inside of a decade we might be able to connect our brains directly to computers. And in my mind, that sounds like something fun to do. But somebody reminded me about watching Black Museum on Dark Mirror on Netflix, and there's a bunch of interesting stories that might be incredibly useful as we determine how to use that technology so that we do not abuse that kind of technology. And if you don't know what Dark Mirror is or Black Mirror, I always forget the name of the series. Find it on Netflix. It's there's some very, very good shows, and then there's some really, really disturbing disturbing stuff out there on that series on Netflix. It's 7:34, and we'll call that iConnect time. And tell you what, you want to start off the new year with some great deals on your telecommunication specialties. We'll talk to the guys and girls over at iConnect about push-to-talk and mobile and internet plans for 2019. Their number, 888-8888.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
And the traffic gizmo is not reporting a whole lot of traffic at this time. Don't see anything that is going to slow you down in front of Big Navy, Anderson Air Force Base, and Navy Hospital. Traffic on Route 4, clear. Traffic on 10, clear. 8, 10, and 16. That intersection is clear for traffic at this time. There's a little bit of a slowdown on Route 16 as you're making your way down the underpass. But I think that's going to get cleared up by the time you get over to St. Paul's, home of the Warriors. It's 7:35, and that's right now traffic here on The Point.
Helen Keller once said, "Blindness separates us from things, but deafness separates us from people." At Ross Hearing Aids, it's their mission to keep you connected to the moments and the people that matter most in your life. Hearing aid technology has never been better, so schedule your complimentary hearing consultation today. Call Ross Hearing Aids, 637-HEAR, 637-4327. You should hear what you're missing. I love you, Daddy. How's your hearing?
Yeah. I see Marcus Reynolds online. That's it, Marine. Nice to have you there. Annette Ada, good morning. Annette, or is it Tony? Which one? Or is it one or both of you that are listening at this time or watching on Facebook Live? That's groovy. It's Marcus Reynolds with a note here. $2 and how much? 38 cents a gallon for gasoline on base. I appreciate that report. Still $3.99 and 9/10 of a cent for those of us off base. And that's real nice. I actually had the opportunity to put some gasoline in the car over the weekend because I didn't want to run out of gas on New Year's. That's not the way you want to start off a new year. I try to start off with everything in place. Is there money in the bank? Yes. Is there a roof over our head? Yes. Is there electricity bill been paid? Yes. All of those things needed to get done by the time it got to be New Year's because I wanted to start off 2019 on the right foot. Interesting day that we're going to be having as we go over some of the big headlines. One of them is, and it's not a surprise, and should not be to anybody that watches how money moves or sometimes doesn't move around the government of Guam, and obligations that we've got at the Department of Corrections that need to be taken care of to care for the clients, the inmates over in the Department of Corrections, and oftentimes that turns into hospital bills, and sometimes those bills don't get paid. Tony Lamaretta from the Department of Corrections online. Huff a ton.
Half a day, Ray. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. How was your New Year celebration? Did you stay inside?
At my age, staying up till midnight is a feat in itself. Right?
Yeah, because people ask me what I did on New Year's afternoon, and the answer is I took a nap on New Year's afternoon because I knew I was going to be hanging out with the Boss 104 people until after midnight and being in Tumon after midnight. So I got home from my day, took care of a couple of meetings, and went home and made myself some because the tradition, right? You got to have noodles on New Year's. I fixed myself some noodle soup. That's my fancy way of saying
broken noodles too. You know that, right?
What's that?
It has to be unbroken noodles.
I had not heard that. Well, just whatever comes in the cup of soup. That's how I fixed it up. That's my version of cooking noodles on New Year's. And then, like I said, took a nap and just rested because I know it was going to be kind of an all-nighter. And I also knew I wanted to get out of Tumon early enough so that I could get home in time to wake up and run into to 2019. So mission accomplished for me, and glad to hear for you. How was the New Year's at the Department of Corrections? What kind of night was that?
It was pretty quiet. I mean,
I guess the lack of fireworks at the Department of Corrections is good, right?
Thank goodness. We don't want to have fireworks on New Year's Eve. We did intercept a throw-in on New Year's Day.
Oh, you intercepted a throw-in?
Right. So our special operations response team were doing their perimeter checks, and we found contraband located inside the fence line.
Huh.
So that was intercepted.
On Monday, there was a contraband arrest as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And on Monday, there was contraband arrest with a female visitor trying to pass contraband to an inmate. So.
Yeah. Well, it's still a problem. I'm trying to figure out when people are going to start droning things over the prison.
Well, we had that one drone crash about a year and a half ago.
Yeah. But was it clear that they were intentionally trying to sneak some contraband into the property?
It was a Mavic. Those drones run about $1,200. No one ever came to retrieve it. So I guess they had wrong intentions.
It could be. You're right. 20 away from the top of the hour. Now, getting back to the reason of the phone call. So one of the first jobs that Sam Brennan's going to have to do once she takes over your office is to square away that bill with GMH, right?
Yeah, and that's going to have to be legislatively appropriated. Last fiscal year, the legislature only appropriated $650,000 for GMH. They did put a provision in there, though, that if the revenue projections were exceeded, they would another $1.5 million would have been appropriated. Well,
that didn't happen.
Projections weren't exceeded, so all we had for that year was $650,000. Here's the other thing too. Even if they gave us a 1.5. We pay GMH $3 million a year for their medical services. Mm-hmm. So even with the 1.5 and the $650,000 was still not sufficient to cover our medical bill.
What is the nature of the medical bills here? I was thinking about that this morning and wondering, if we've got some really expensive inmates at the Department of Corrections that have got lingering chronic, maybe near terminal diseases. Maybe the smart thing to do is just let them go, so that DepCorp doesn't keep holding the bag on their care.
Yeah, and we've looked at that. Obviously with the governor, we've initiated a program where we deport individuals. Mm-hmm. We've also seriously looked at people with medical issues. Get them commutated as well. So I believe one or two that have been commuted in the past that did have medical, issues that was costing the department, substantial amount of money. So, the thing too is those that have major medical issues also committed major crimes, and they should serve their time.
Right. So, I totally agree with that. I mean, dependent on the crime and dependent on that person's ability to resume a life of crime despite their illnesses in the Department of Corrections, that maybe they ought to just stay where they are. But if you've got if you got a couple of low end guys, shoplifters and bicycle thieves that are hanging around at the Department of Corrections that have got these long term chronic and expensive health issues, maybe it's time to let them out.
Yeah, and. Well, the GMH bill is primarily for operating our clinic 6 days a week, and then providing all medication. We do have quite a few inmates who have chronic illnesses that require daily medication. So that's that, and the $3 million, that's what's included in there. Yeah. Now, when they have hospital stays, that's an additional cost to the department.
And so as we move into what's left of this new fiscal year, what kind of advice can you give Sam to alleviate that problem?
Well,
you got to go back to the legislature now.
Yeah, the major problem with DOC, just like any other of the departments, is insufficient funding. People have to realize that we house 700 plus people on a daily basis, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. And, we feed them, we take care of them medically. Mm-hmm. We're pretty much we look at ourselves as a city, and we take care of all of our residents in that city. Whenever we have a shortfall in our funding, it really escalates to the other areas within the department. So, funding is a big issue. Even our officer shortage is a result of funding. Our overtime, our high overtime, is a result of not being able to hire additional officers to cut down on overtime. So funding is going to be a major issue. We're going to be meeting. I reached out once they were appointed, Sam and Joey, I reached out to them, so we're meeting with them today, and we're going to brief them together with our division heads, the issues and concerns and the challenges and successes that DOC's had, and so that when they walk in on Monday, they'll be, fairly briefed on the operations and procedures at DOC.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there's plenty more to go, and another interesting story. I forget where I read it about the guy in a wheelchair is busted for importing some methamphetamine. He's trying to get some numbers changed out on his sentence because sorry, I had to laugh at that where he says he found his time in the Department of Corrections traumatizing, and I'm going, well, yeah, it's jail. That's why. It's not supposed to be fun. This isn't the Hilton.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that if that's the same individual, he's been busted twice by corrections officers for trying to sneak in contraband, coming from the hemodialysis center. So obviously, someone is passing something on to him.
Unbelievable! What a lesson you've managed to learn there about human nature at the Department of Corrections, huh?
24/7.
Yeah.
Those guys are incarcerated. They're always going to try to find some reason or way to get contraband in, and that's all the time in the world to think about it.
Yeah, plenty of that. What are you going to do now?
Well, be looking around. I'm going to be retired, but I'm going to look around for a job. Take it easy for about a month, and then, see what's out there.
Want to do Military Mondays again?
Sure, sounds good to me.
This is not the first time that we've shared microphone time at a radio station. I think you'd actually kind of like working around here with some of the technology that we have and access to great news from the Daily Post, etc.
Yep, and
maybe I ought to take a vacation. Maybe I ought to take a break here and let you do the show for a couple of days.
Sure, why not?
Okay. Well, this is the part where I promise I'm going to get a hold of you offline again.
Okay.
All right, Donna. I'll talk to you later.
I won't hold my breath, Ray. I won't hold my breath.
Happy New Year, buddy. See you pretty soon. Tony Lamarena from the Department of Corrections, outgoing director of the Department of Corrections, as a matter of fact. And as I think we will see, is as the folders of work gets closed for one person, there are going to be some things that get passed into another folder to the incoming person. Remember the old joke about make 2 envelopes. Right, and the one off is it's okay to blame your predecessor, and that will work for you for a time, and then when you find it doesn't work for you, you open up the other envelope, and inside it says, prepare 2 envelopes, is I think the way the joke goes. 7:47 in the morning. I don't know if that's going to be happening over the Department of Corrections. I had earlier talked about how there have been additional names to the fiscal discipline team and in the incoming administration of Lulian Guerrero and Josh Tenorio. And when I saw this, I was absolutely delighted because it's somebody that I've known for a long time and somebody that I trust, frankly, with my tax returns, is Daphne Shimizu. Good morning, Daph. Wait, I got to press the button.
You have dialed is not available.
Where'd she go? Oh, I think everything's broken. I think something is broken. Anyway, we'll get Daph back on the line here. Currently, the Vice President of Finance and the Chief Financial Officer over at Staywell, and perhaps a little bit more in the conversation about why I am behind and will endorse this nomination for the Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation. There are other names on the list. Our Deputy Director is going to be Michelle Santos. Ed Burns stays over at the Department of Administration. Edith Pangilinan, Deputy Director for Ed. Les Carlson, the Director of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research. Tyrone Titano will be the Director of Stats and Plans. Melanie Mendiola is going to go and work over at the Guam Economic Development Authority, and we'll be talking to her in, I don't know, about 40 minutes or something like that. And then Artemio Ricky Hernandez will be the Deputy Administrator over at the Guam Economic Development Authority. So a number of names that have been put on the list for the fiscal discipline team, including, as I said, lady that does my taxes, Daphne Shimizu. Good morning, Daph.
Good morning, Ray. How are you?
I'm terrific, but I don't get to be the Director of the Department of Revenue and Taxation. That's going to be your job. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
Now, if it's okay, I'd like to tell everybody among the reasons why I'm delighted that you're going to be getting that position is because you kind of reached out to me and asked me what I thought should be some of the priorities with financially for the government of Guam, and it was nice to be asked my opinion, and so I appreciate you reaching out to me. For those of you that are curious as to what the answer is, the answer was I think we need to do a whole lot more by way of information technology. There needs to be some incredible software investments that we make at the Department of Revenue and Taxation, Department of Administration, Land Management, and virtually everything in the government of Guam should be linked in and shifted away from all of the manual work that gets done now. So I hope that among the first things that you do over at the Department of Revenue and Taxation is that. You think that might work for you?
Well, there are really a lot of things that we have to do, and I think, without kind of getting into the operations yet, it's difficult to tell. And but when we did meet with the governor and the governor-elect and the lieutenant governor, one of the things that was talked about was the creation of, I think that the DRT team called it the Technology Task Force. And so I know that the governor-elect and the lieutenant governor-elect are they're really looking forward to us making an assessment of the systems and of trying to determine what we need to do in order to get them to where they need to be.
And what do we suppose we can spend? Seems to me I recall conversations with other directors of the Department of Revenue and Taxation that would kind of ballpark that in the $25 to $30 million range for that kind of technological advancement.
Well, we know technology isn't inexpensive, and so that's part of the assessment that needs to be made. Again, I think that the governor-elect and the lieutenant governor-elect did make it very clear that that was a priority, though. Mm-hmm. And so those are definitely the things that we have to look at. But, yeah, we know technology isn't cheap. I think I've also, because I deal with MIS in my current role, we've had to purchase software, and even the simplest software is not inexpensive.
Oh, and the hardware, you get to change that about every 2 or 3 years. Right. Windows will come out with a new operating system that will either eliminate or make obsolete the old one, or in the worst case, we'll come out with some new software, with some new hardware on the Windows side that will require you to go back to your software vendor and buy the update for another $1 million.
Right, but with regards to technology, and in terms of trying to get a new system, there's so much involved in it. You have to get the users involved. You have to get the IT team involved. And I've not met with the Office of Technology or the people in the MIS side for Rev and Tax, but there's so much involved. There's a lot of time involved because we want to make sure that if there's any new system that's going to be coming on board or that we're going to begin to use, mm-hmm. It has to meet the needs of the users, which is the people at our agencies, but also of our community, right? We need to, and I think if there is any single thing, because I did work with Senator Tony Sanford on the the finance transition team for the administration, and where we were really looking at in terms of making sure that really our systems allow for more transparency. And looking, at being able to provide timely information to our people.
Oh, yeah. Well, you and the public auditor are going to be interested in being able to watch in almost real time what happens with money that comes into the government and money that goes out of the government.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially on the Rev and Tax side, I think with anything in terms of what the agency is set up to do, enabling legislation, if you go back to Rev and Tax's enabling legislation, we're really the enforcement and collection arm. And so we're going to have to be watching collections very closely. We'll now just gotten through one whole year worth of, experience so that we can look back and see how the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has impacted our collections. We have 2 months worth now, and coming into January when the collections for December will be, completed or to be reported on, we'll have 3 full months worth of data on collections. And so those will be very important to the incoming administration.
I understand, and let me go back to your position as have done the role as a CPA, a senior tax accountant at Ernst & Young, et cetera. Can I make an assumption that you will use that experience on the customer side of the tax rev and tax equation to try to be a little bit more customer centric, if you will? I mean, something as simple as answer the phone when somebody calls rev and tax.
Well, so absolutely. I mean, I think that what we're really focused on is ensuring that we're able to provide the services to our people and to provide the best service that we can. Various things that, like for you, example, you bring up the issue of phone calls and perhaps not being able to answer phone calls, things like that. I mean, those are things that we have to look at the reasons why. I don't know the reasons why. Perhaps maybe we need to invest in some type of a phone system, a customer or a call center or something like that. But until, again, we get into actually in operations, it's difficult to tell. And so those are things actually that we'll be working to talk with both Marie Benito and John Camacho and their team about.
Well, I hope and I know that the job that they have been doing there is mostly manual and generally line and client driven. It's like being at a bank. You got all these teller positions that are open, but you don't always have a teller behind them. And if you've got somebody that's waiting on a customer in front of you, they're going to let the phone ring and hope somebody else gets it. So I think there's a whole lot of these manual kind of the way we did it in the 50s and 60s way of doing business that we're going to need to try to revolutionize it at Rev and Tax. And then, of course, you've got the other role of the tax collector position, and it occurs to me that one of the bigger problems that they've had is they just don't have enough people with expertise to go out there and make good claims against people that are late filers or non-filers.
Right, and again, with regards to collections, without actually kind of talking so much in detail about the transition committee's reports that were developed during the transition period this past few weeks or months. Yeah, absolutely. I believe one of the first recommendations was hiring collectors and hiring them, as soon as possible, so that we can make sure that we have people who are actually focusing on that effort. Without that, really, I mean, how are we going to collect the money without the people? And so that was one of the main items that was brought up by the Rev and Tax transition team. And we really are going to have to focus. And again, when your mandate states that your role is really enforcement and collections, then really we need to focus on getting back to basics on what we're set up to do.
I'm curious about some of the other things that are conducted, the other business of the Department of Revenue and Taxation. You got banking and insurance down there. You've got gaming, alcohol, beverage, and things like that. So a lot to get your head around as you move into this new role. Are you going to be besides Michelle? Are you going to be bringing anybody else in from the outside to try to take a look at each one of these different rev tax roles and see how we might be able to shape them so that they're better at what they do and better in dealing with the public?
In terms of some of the areas where there were boards, I've already begun to, I guess, look at, because the minutes are public, so minutes for the various boards are public. So I've begun to look at the minutes and look at who are on the boards to try to get an assessment of, for example, on the insurance board, the ABC board, weights and measures, who's there, how often they're meeting, what are the issues that we have to address? Because I think, it kind of goes back to that. And in terms of resources, I think, at least for those areas that have actual boards, the boards themselves, the people on the boards are going to be good resources for us. In terms of trying to bring people in, honestly, it's too early to say. Again, I think it's going to be really important to get in and talk with the actual people in the agency, because at the end of the day, they're really the ones who know what's going on. And I think, they're going to be the ones who are going to be able to provide us with a lot of the recommendations. A lot of them, perhaps, we start off with the low-hanging fruit, what things that we can get, what things that are very simple that that we may be able to provide right away. And then whatever things that, maybe more long-term that, we'll have to perhaps go through procurement or stuff like that, which takes a while.
Yeah, well, and at least 4 years of an administration in front of you. I wish you very, very good luck. There are other questions about certain settlements, $14 million worth of tobacco tax settlement that people I think are still very, very curious about. It would be interesting to see how much of those things, in the interest of transparency, might be revealed to us.
Right, Ray, and I think that again, there are things that really, until we get in and
because that's me, Dab. That's a low-hanging fruit. I know where we can find $14 million right now, right?
Raymond, well, again, it's really difficult to say. I think that those are things. One, the public auditor actually has looked into the tobacco tax. If you get on their website, you can actually read up on a report that they've done. But really, what I believe that during the election time, there was talk about money that was collectible and things that we have to go out and collect on. And I believe that that was one of the items that that is one of the items that's a huge priority for us. We need to make sure we
just go get what we have not had a good chance to collect in the past for whatever reason. I've only got seconds left here. Congratulations to you, Daph. We'll talk some more.
Thank you, Raymond. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG Agana. Here's Fox News.
A retired Marine arrested in Russia. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The family of Paul Whelan says they haven't heard from him in days. The Kremlin accusing him of being a spy.
His family says he was at a wedding. We've been in contact with his twin brother, who says Whelan is a retired Marine and says his family learned from news reports yesterday the Russian government had detained him. In a statement, Whelan's family says, quote, "We noticed that he was not in communication on the 28th, which was very much out of character for him, even when he was traveling. We are deeply concerned for his safety and well-being. His innocence is undoubted, and we trust that his rights will be respected."
Fox's Rich Edson in Washington. President Trump prodding presumptive House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to make a deal to end the 11-day-old government shutdown, tweeting that's not where she wants to start her tenure, as Democrats prepare to send a proposal to the president that would end the shutdown.
1 year of funding for 6 of the 7 agencies affected by this partial government shutdown, and funding through February 8th for the Department of Homeland Security. That includes $1.3 billion for border security, but not for a wall. Now, neither President Trump nor Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have directly weighed in on the Democrats' proposal, but it is highly unlikely that either would support it because McConnell has said that the Senate will not vote on a bill to reopen the government unless he's certain the president will sign it.
Fox's Christian Fisher in Washington. The president has invited congressional leaders to the White House tomorrow for a briefing from Homeland Security officials to discuss border security and the so-called border wall. An Alabama company has recalled tons of hot sausage because it may be contaminated with bits of metal. There's been no reports of injury from the sausage from the R.L. Ziegler company. The recall affects about 5.8 tons of chicken and pork sausage labeled as red hot, some also labeled as extra hot. This is Fox News.
Welcome to Subway's ad for the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich. How would you like it?
I would like it to predict my future.
My pleasure.
I see. Your future, a delicious moment in the new Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich with steak, jalapeno peppers, and Chipotle Southwest sauce. Wait, I foresee an imminent spell that is going to entice you. It's the crunchy bread with sunflower seeds, which provides an enchanting flavor. Don't miss it, and be mindful. The portal of the Chipotle cheesesteak sandwich is open for a limited time only. Subway, make it what you want.
The U.S. Secretary of State says work to stabilize the Middle East continues in partnership with Israel.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Brazil to reassure that their partnership is as strong as ever, even after President Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops from Syria.
The counter-ISIS campaign continues, our efforts to counter Iranian aggression continue, and our commitment to Middle East stability in the
protection of Israel continues in the same way it did before that decision was made.
Even with that assurance, Netanyahu says,
we have a lot to discuss,
which includes the fallout from the president's decision and intensifying intelligence to stop any Iranian terror activity. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
A slew of new laws going into effect on this New Year's Day.
A law for shopping online could cost you more in 2019. At least 6 states now requiring taxes on purchases from out-of-state retailers. Other new laws aim to curb addiction. In New York, pharmacies can no longer sell cigarettes, and so-called Give Back law requires drug companies to take back unused prescription opioids. In Utah, a lower threshold for drunk driving. That state's blood alcohol content limit dropped to 0.05%, marking the strictest DUI law in the country.
Fox's Marianne Rafferty. Some of the nation's most iconic national parks dealing with the side effects of the partial government shutdown, vandals and overflowing restrooms. Many parks are open, but with the skeleton crews in place. The budget director of the nonprofit National Park Conservation Association calls it a nightmare scenario for human safety, wildlife, and historic sites at national parks. Park officials say without supervision, some visitors at Joshua Tree National Park in the California desert are off-roading and damaging the park. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
Chili's 3 for Me menu just got bigger. We're giving you more choices for the same great price. For just $15, you can get a beverage, salad, and an entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a house salad and select your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our half-rack ribs, Cajun chicken pasta, old-timer burger, personal chicken fajitas, or the flavorful margarita flatbread. So hurry in today and enjoy our Chili's 3 for Me menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Wednesday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. A 5 by 7 foot hole was punched right through the stern of a Japanese cruise vessel after it accidentally collided with the U.S. Navy's Delta Fuel Pier in Inner Apra Harbor. It happened about 9 o'clock on Sunday night. The Nippon Maru cruise ship was leaving Guam for Saipan when the accident occurred. 524 passengers, a crew of 224 were aboard. The hole is just above the ship's waterline, and as of yesterday, the vessel still hadn't left the port of Guam yet. It's not clear yet when it will depart or whether the passengers and crew remain aboard or are in the process of booking flights off island. The Nippon Maru is based out of Yokohama, Japan. The U.S. Coast Guard is investigating the incident. A woman and the inmate she was visiting at the Department of Corrections in Manilao have both been arrested on prison contraband allegations. According to a magistrate's complaint on Sunday afternoon, 27-year-old Josiane Napati was visiting her boyfriend, 28-year-old Cal Jerome Delori, when a corrections officer observed a hand-to-hand transaction of suspected prison contraband. DOC officer Heath Gogwe reported he saw Delori reach into the back pocket of Napati and retrieve a small dark-colored package. Delori appeared to be taking a great effort to conceal it within his crotch, states the magistrate report. Delori was then searched. The package was recovered. Inside were 2 small plastic bags containing a white crystalline substance and 2 bags containing a green leafy plant. Field tests prove positive for methamphetamine and marijuana. Delory is currently serving time for murder. He was booked and returned to his cell. Napati was also booked and confined. More news after this.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE. The smarter choice.
Docomo Pacific is making the Better Together bundle even better. 2 great services plus more. Get unlimited local calls, SMS, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet for $109 a month. Sign up today and get free installation and choose between a free Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or $100 off select devices. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
10 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. In Superior Court Monday, the prosecution said a rape kit test confirmed that the DNA of Airman Luis Vargas was found on the alleged 9-year-old victim in that case. The 33-year-old Vargas is facing charges of first and second-degree criminal sexual conduct with a special allegation of committing a crime against a vulnerable victim. He's alleged to have assaulted the girl at a housing unit in Manilao in July of last year. Assistant Attorney General Christine Tenorio told Judge Anita Socola that Mr. Vargas's DNA was found on the rape kit. Vargas's defense attorney, Stephen Hattori, told the judge they may motion the court for their own expert, but Judge Socola set a trial date for May 8th, and Tenorio also said that she has sent the defense a plea agreement. Guam's new police chief says recruiting new manpower will be his top priority. Captain Stephen Ignacio has been named by Governor-elect Leon Guerrero to lead the police department. He has been a member of the force for 31 years and is currently the commander of the Agana Precinct Command. Ignacio telling the Guam Daily Post that the biggest challenge of the department right now is lack of personnel. He said his first order of business will be sitting down with the command staff and working with them to see whether they can shift personnel around to maximize the number of officers out on patrol. And his next step will be to improve recruitment rates. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with weather.
Mostly sunny and breezy today, Kevin, with isolated light showers, winds from the northeast up to about 25 miles an hour. And you'd predicted Monday or so that we were going to see some heavier winds this week. You still see that in the forecast? I can't hear you. Use the microphone.
They backed out for that just a little bit. They showed the new shear line actually coming in on a Friday, Saturday time scale. The models were predicting more of a Thursday, Friday time frame. So the winds are coming. They'll just be a little bit later in the week, towards the weekend.
Gotcha. Sunset tonight, 6:05. Sunrise tomorrow morning should be about 6:44. It's going to be warm, about 88 degrees. No heat index today, and overnight lows should be 77. Be careful on the water. High risk advisory and a high risk of rip current advisories are in effect right now from the National Weather Service. We'll start with the radar here, so Mike can tell you what the weather's going to be like for about the next hour or so.
Yeah, it's still going to be about what you see out there right now. Just a few clouds. All the showers are down to our south, so no real risk of any rain in the short term. We might get a stray shower or two through the day today, but it'll be light and quick, and it'll just blow on through, and you probably won't even notice.
Yeah, real clear up in northern Mariana Islands.
It really is, and the surge is much stronger there. And if we go to satellite here, you can actually see why. And I don't know if we can see that on the screen, but I can see it here, and you can literally see that arc of clouds.
You know what? I forgot to put the thing on the screen. There it is.
Okay, so you can see the arc of clouds just below the Marianas, which we're right there by the arrow pointer, and that's the boundary. And the moisture's riding over the boundary, and then it's raining itself out, and then as it gets over us, it's drier. And we do have high pressure building in from the north, and so you do see some of that southward motion in that air. If you look real careful, you can see it's drying out. And yeah, they're talking about relative humidities in the 10% range.
Really?
Yeah, which is just crazy. We normally don't.
It's going to freeze. It would be cold.
It might snow.
No, I'm not going to go that far out on the limb, but yeah, significant
really
reduction in the humidity is what it's the humidity that makes you feel hot. So you start pulling that stuff out of the air, and it'll be downright cool. I was running around yesterday between the drier air, the drier air and the wind.
Yeah,
I mean it was I'm just thinking maybe I need to put on a windbreaker.
Yeah,
something.
it's the relative temperature relative to your skin. Your skin has a certain degree of moisture in it, so it reacts differently to the air temperatures depending on the moisture that's in the air. And so, yeah, when you get those dry air masses that come in and the winds blow, it has a whole different feel on the skin.
Absolutely. 8:13 in the morning, and that's news and weather together here on The Point.
Ang insurance ay di dapat maging hadlang sa mga gastusin ngayong bagong taon. Kaya naman, ang Nanbo Insurance ay katuwang mo sa pagbibigay ng kasiyahan at kapanatagan ng loob. Sa Nanbo Insurance Home and Auto or Motorcycle Bundle Up Plan, makakatipid ka hanggang 50% off. Huwag gumastos ng sobra ngayong bagong taon. Tumawag lamang sa 477-9754 or online nanbo.com para sa higit na impormasyon. Mula sa aming Nanbo Pamilya, masaganang bagong taon sa inyong lahat.
What she said. Yeah, and later on, we're going to go have breakfast and do a translation at King's. The crazy holiday menu apparently is still in effect. And as I say apparently because I haven't gotten any word that they're taking it out. So it's possible that maybe they're gearing up for the next holiday. And can I ask that question? What is the next holiday? For those of you that are sitting around going, well, that's it for Christmas, that's it for New Year's. When's the next big holiday? Kevin, any ideas? Next big holiday? We don't take holidays in our business.
My next big holiday is Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's not really. I mean, it will be here.
President's Day.
President's Day is the next big holiday. We don't celebrate that one here, do we?
Discovery Day? What's the tomorrow Discovery Day?
It's Discovery Day.
March? I mean, that's not a holiday for us, but it's the next like Gov Guam holiday probably, right?
Maybe I don't know.
Martin Luther
I don't
King?
know. You're the one that's married to a DOE teacher.
Well,
But
she's on
their
leave
schedule's
anyway. She's
weird.
on leave anyway with a new baby, so she's off till March anyway.
Anyway, so we'll find out what the next big holidays are, and then we'll figure out whether they're going to have the Kring's holiday menu working for that one. But in the meantime, they will put this together almost exactly the same way that I would do it: a Spam sandwich. Their generous helping of fried Spam slices, melty cheese, fried egg on a soft Hawaiian sweet bread or Hawaiian French. I'm salivating just saying it. That was one of my other meals on New Year's was almost an entire can of Spam. Yeah. Let them do the cooking for you over at King's.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itanomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Yay, 8:16 portions of the program is also brought to you by my friends over at Security Title and American President Lines, where they're shipping the future of Micronesia renewable energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. And Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for your open heart surgical needs.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
That does sound yum. Nate Horn says King's does the Lent menu with their parrotfish sandwich. Bob and Connie Bartonico are saying Martin Luther King Jr. Day is the next big one for us. Big Sister Shelley's online. Good morning and Happy New Year. There's Xavier Atalik says, glad the holidays is over. Now back to politics. Biba Mangatsum. Is there politics? I mean, there's always a little bit. I mean, there are no doubt people that are looking at the names that have been forwarded by the transition team. Now they're going to the legislature for confirmation and all of that stuff. But it looks like there's a whole bunch of people that are being put into positions in the Department of Revenue and Taxation, Administration, BBMR, and then you've got some folks running around with GMH, DPHSS, and DISID, etc. And I'm sure that there are some that are looking at all the names that have been turned in and that have been talked about by the transition team, wondering, hey, I wonder if there's some political payback in some of those things. And the answer is the Pope a Catholic? 8:17 in the morning. And we'll get around maybe to talking about some of that stuff a little bit later on. In the meantime, nice to see everybody, Felix included, on the Facebook Live. And is Sophia tuned in as well? Just curious. Is it time for sports? Do we get to talk sports today?
We have.
There is sports. Yes.
We have stuff.
There's okay.
We'll call it sports.
Let's get to it then. Sports with Blake.
Before we go too long into it, our Pick'em group, now technically that has ended, so we do have a winner because we were only doing regular season.
You guys talking about you? I'm gonna go get the prize.
Yeah, because we were doing regular season. So
okay.
Yeah, they
because
can pick for the playoffs, but that's not counting. So
Okay.
whoever's leading right now, whoever's winning,
That's what
is the winner.
That's what I was going to ask you because I did see that you can pick into the postseason.
That's what
but-
I just saw too, and I was like,
I didn't
okay,
know. Yeah, I never noticed that.
Yeah, thank you.
I never.
What are you doing this weekend?
I never noticed that until this morning. But but we did say only regular season, right?
That's right, only regular season.
Okay, so the results are cut off after week 17, right?
Absolutely.
All
yeah.
right. So results are final.
Results are final at this time, and so that makes our winner. Oh, hold on, stay.
What?
Hold on, I gotta save my picks. Hold on.
Very nice.
Yeah, I know, right in the middle of my thing. Where's the thinking music? I should have played that. So the standings right now are our winner of the wonderful little gadget there that Ray fixed up for us is Killer Bee.
Killer Bee.
1408. I'm trying to find out whose actual name that is.
Yeah, who is Killer Bee?
Yeah, I'll have to. I'm not really sure.
Anybody know?
Well, do we have any other stats? I mean, other than that they won.
Well, the fact is,
is there
they got
a percentage?
165 picks right and 89 wrong, which is 65%. And that's about right. And they finished though with points. 1,408 points. That is first place over Daraka, who finished second with 1,398 points. And it is the points, in fact, that we're counting.
Oh.
So, and Daraka didn't, he actually was too short of the picks as well. So, so congratulations to Killer Bee.
Whoever you are, Killer Bee, if you are on the Facebook chat,
But wait,
send us a line.
okay, there's just a little bit of administrative stuff here before we actually give away the prize from Beyond the Box here. It is a wireless speaker phone, right? So you can use this thing because your phone's going to get plugged into it, and a phone charger. So the battery in here is sufficient to run the amp, but it's also sufficient to be able to charge your phone.
And that's very cool too because I have a very nice Marshall Bluetooth speaker, which is audio wise is very, very nice.
No, it's Marshall, yeah,
and it's Bluetooth, which is cool. You can plug it in either way. But when my phone rings, I gotta pick up the handset. It's not a speakerphone like that one. I like that feature.
That is a cool feature,
It's
right?
Not all Bluetooths are speaker. Not your phone won't always work through your speaker.
So congratulations, Killer Bee. So that we got to find. Is there a way that you can go through administratively?
I will
on
have
your side?
to. I'll have to sign on later when I get onto my personal account.
Okay.
And then go in because I'm the administrator, but I can't do it from the phone app.
Okay, and so 65% was good enough for somebody to win the big prize.
1,408 points.
1,400. Oh,
Sorry.
really?
By the way, Brad Hewitt put in a valiant effort. I'm saying that because he's the only one I know actually by name in there. So
No, I know who Killer Bee is.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's Boris.
Oh, okay. There you go. Well, I guess Killer Bee. That makes sense. There you go.
Yeah. Killer
Boris. And he's kind of been the silent Killer Bee. He hasn't really chimed in so much as the when we talk picks.
I don't know if we want Boris chiming in a lot. There's opinions, right? There's opinions. I think we'll just keep him on the sports tip. He's laughing out loud. That is funny. Okay, great. Tell you what, we'll just get some confirmation once Mike's up to the deal on his side, and then I'll make arrangements for you to come by and pick this up. And frankly, maybe I'll just run up to the house in Gigo and drop it off at your place. 8:22 in the morning. So now that the regular season is all done, we are just in for playoffs now, and then on our way to the Super Bowl.
On our way to the Super Bowl. And you know what's interesting is that so 6 teams, right? 12 teams, right?
Right.
12 teams get to play for the Super Bowl. It all starts this week. And what I don't like as I'm just kind of buying time pulling this up, can we do away with that Pro Bowl week? I don't like that because you're right. We are close to the Super Bowl, but it's going to be extended because even though playoffs start this weekend, Super Bowl won't be till like the second weekend of February, which is like a month from now, and it's because they take that whole week off, and So anyway, I said all that to say.
Just so that there's other football going on between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl,
the Pro Bowl. Okay. Well,
used to be, Jerry Roberts does the extra point. He used to do a thing years and years ago. He used to do a promotion, fly with Fanihi, because that was his jock name, JQ Fanihi. So fly with Fanihi to the Pro Bowl because they played it every year in Hawaii.
Right.
And so that was a big promotion. Fairly easy to get airplane tickets to and hotel accommodations. You line up a couple of winners with some dough, and that was the big kind of football year ender.
That's kind of how it's lost its luster luster with the pros themselves
because it's not in Hawaii. It's in February
They're
anymore.
playing it in Florida.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I do have the postseason schedule that will start here locally. I got the times broken down for you, so you don't have to do it. Sunday morning. And I actually, as my fandom, will luck me out this weekend. Sunday morning, we will have the 7:35 very first wild card game kickoff. 7:35 on ESPN, ABC, ESPN. The Colts will take on the Houston Texans, as both teams will fight for their playoff lives to advance. And then the late game on Sunday morning for us, which is the rare Saturday night football in the States. But I like it because I get to wake up Sunday morning. It doesn't interfere with my work time. But the Seahawks and the Cowboys will face off for the second time this year in the wild card game. That game in Dallas, 11:15 a.m. Sunday morning will be the kickoff. So you wake up Sunday morning, got a nice playoff game to watch on Fox. The Seahawks beat the Cowboys in the first meeting. So, we'll see how it goes this time. But
Where's
there you
the
go.
bracket? Are we bracketing already? Can we bracket?
We bracket?
Yeah.
For the picks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to pick now? Do you want to pick Friday or?
Yeah, well, I just
Do you
made my
have your
picks
pick?
while I was doing. Yeah, I'm picking Texans and Seahawks.
I'm going to pick Cowboys for the first time this season, and I'm going to take the Texans. I'm going to go all Texas this week.
Right on.
And then the other games, which, we could talk about more closer in time, but the Chargers will take on Baltimore. That game will kick off 4 o'clock Monday morning. Yep. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, who snuck into the playoffs because the Vikings are terrible. They will play the Chicago Bears. That game will be the Monday morning game, 7:40 a.m. Right when we're talking Monday morning. That's the NBC game, the Sunday night football game.
There we go. And I got the Chargers and the Bears.
Oh, yeah, and I got Cowboys, Texans. I got Chargers and Bears as well.
Right on.
So my role here as the guy that runs the radio station is as soon as we get down to the after we're all finished figuring out which two teams are going to actually be going to the Super Bowl, then I make contacts with the NFL, who makes contacts with those teams, and then we will set up a connection with those teams or one of the teams and their radio affiliate.
And I'm real sorry, but if Dallas and Houston make it to the Super Bowl, he and I will not be at work that day.
Really? But no, and that's the point. Is that morning we'd run the Super Bowl on the radio,
right.
so you wouldn't need to be here that morning.
Yeah, because it would be my first ever Super Bowl for my team, and it's been a matchup that everybody's hoped for since our team came into existence. In
And it's
01,
never
so.
happened. Texas,
Yeah,
all
never
Texas Super
happened.
Bowl.
So-
Which Texas birthed football. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
What?
Texas invented football.
Texas invented football.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what
It was a little messy at first. It was cow patties, lots of rain.
Yeah, there's a Tom Shea story here somewhere.
I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying it.
All right, so now for clarity and for newbies like me, it's one of those. I honestly have not been paying attention. So what are the teams that are going into the playoffs now?
Okay, so the teams
Wait, I gotta write it down. Serious. Here we
Okay,
go.
so the teams going into playoffs now, you have the teams that we just named. You have the, let's see here.
Name them again, because I'm serious. Because I gotta
the
start doing the research.
The Colts and the Texans.
Wait, Colts, Texans.
All right, then you've got the Cowboys and the Seahawks.
Okay.
Chargers and the Ravens.
Wait. I'm still on Seahawks. Chargers, Ravens.
And then Eagles and the Bears.
It's the
Eagles,
Bears.
Bears.
Now you also have in the AFC, you have New England, the Patriots, and the Chiefs. And in the NFC, you have the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams.
And all four of those last four teams, they were all first place of their division. And they did so well that they all have a first round bye, so they don't have to play the wild card weekend. They get a weekend off.
Now, explain the wild card.
So the wild card is the two lowest, the two divisional leaders. There's four divisions. All four leaders of each division go to the playoffs.
Okay.
The two division leaders with the lowest record, they will face off against the wild card team who who sneak in with a good record, but it's just a wild card.
But
ultimately
we know who
they
the wild
finished
cards
second.
are now?
We do know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
the wild cards are the Eagles and the Seahawks for the NFC, and the Ravens. And who else do we have? Who else do we name? Who else is playing?
Yeah, Colts. Colts.
Colts and the Ravens.
Colts are the wild card team, Ravens.
And the top teams in the first place teams, Chiefs, Rams, Patriots, Saints, they are all awaiting the winners of these games this weekend, and those teams will go up to play those better teams next week.
And actually, I was wrong. The Ravens are the division winner. The Chargers are the wild card team in that matchup. Although I think they're the better team.
Well, because the Chiefs are so good, that's why they were. Yeah.
So and then the bracket just will fill itself in.
And it'll just be process of elimination. So we start with 8 teams this weekend, and then they'll go on to play the 4 best teams that aren't playing this week, and then from there on, AFC NFC Championship, and then to the big game.
The big one.
Don't we got to call it the big game? Isn't it trademarked?
What?
Yeah.
The Super Bowl? Can we not say the Super Bowl?
I can whatever I want to say. Make me stop. Make me.
Well, when you see
my lawyer can beat up your lawyer.
Don't they say like on they call it the big game or whatever on like commercials and stuff?
It will depend. And the people that
What you're advertising,
the people
right?
that will get pissy about it are the whoever's going to be running it on television. Because we're not affiliated with any of the TV companies.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll get cranky about it and tell us to stop.
Who has it this year? Do you know? I don't know either. I don't know which network. I know it's going to be in Atlanta. I just don't know if it's going to be NBC, Fox, ESPN. I don't know. It rotates.
All right.
We'll
So
see.
8:29 in the morning. There were bowl games that got played. Do we care?
No, not really.
Somebody.
It's pulling up right here. I do know that we did mention as we were going into the new year.
Yeah.
One of the listeners on the Facebook universe did mention this game, and it is going on right now.
Hogs.
Washington, the number 9th ranked Washington Huskies taking on the number 6th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. That game had just kicked off probably about 10 minutes ago. There's 9 minutes left in the first quarter. It's on ESPN if you want to watch it. Buckeyes leading at the current time 7-0, and then right after that is another good bowl game as the University of Georgia Bulldogs will kick off against the University of Texas Longhorns from Austin. That game is at 11:45 this morning. So I don't know what the bowls are called, but those are the 2 college football games on this morning. There you go.
So somebody is going to be making the time investment in some bowl games maybe this afternoon. It could be. Look, it's just guys. It's football, so it's an excuse to go find someplace. And if you didn't drink enough on New Year's, you can go and line some up for today. Have you Bandersnatched yet?
What?
Bandersnatch.
What is that?
We haven't talked about Bandersnatch?
No.
No, it's a dark mirror show.
Oh no, yes.
On
with
Netflix,
the 5 different endings. No, yes. You know what? I was going to start it. I started it, and then I realized. You start something on Netflix and you realize I'm not going to be able to finish this. Yeah. So I want to sit down late at night when everybody's asleep, maybe watch it in the dark, uninterrupted. So I started it, but I put it on my list for the back burner.
I've restarted. I started it, same thing. Didn't have enough time to finish it, and then I thought, wait a second. If I do this, I'm going to want to write down the process to see where things branched out and see which ending I get.
Right after we got off the air, I saw a headline that said, or a story, I guess, about that movie. That movie was so intricate for the team of Black Mirror to make that it actually delayed the next season by like the next year.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah. So the next season of Black Mirror isn't going to come. It got delayed because they were filming Bandersnatch.
And it looks good, but I'm a little bit squeamish about it because you remember the national anthem on Dark Mirror, the one where the politician and the pig, right?
The pig, yeah.
That would maybe the most disturbing thing I've ever watched on television, on streaming services, and I'm kind of concerned that this Bandersnatch might go down that similar rabbit hole. So frankly, one of the other things that I did, realizing I didn't have time for a full-blown movie, was I rewatched some of my favorite
Black Mirrors.
There's
some good ones. I mean, good by creepy too.
Hang the DJ is one of my favorites. Great love story in Hang the DJ. The San Juniper one is also good, and then there's Black Museum.
There's one. I don't know if
I've watched Black Museum like 3 times because it's just so.
I've heard
it's chilling.
People have told me that one.
Yeah.
There's one where if you've watched Black Panther, the Princess Shuri, she's in one of them, and I forget the name of it, but it's a good one.
Oh,
too.
there's Easter eggs everywhere, all over the place with Dark Mirror. Anyway, so we're 8:32 in the morning. That's the only other thing I wanted to ask you about today, and I don't think we've got time. So maybe it's something that we can line up for tomorrow. Is IIAAG, and now the post New Year's side, the 2019 activities are going to be taking place. You know, we got guys volleyball, high school volleyball coming up again.
We got a preseason tournament, too, we can talk more about. That's going to start, it looks like this weekend, I think, but it's the IIAAG preseason tournament, and it actually is sanctioned or sponsored by GSPN. So it actually isn't really like a IIAAG sanctioned event, meaning it's a preseason tournament, you know. So we got that to talk about as the third quarter sports will start getting going. Yeah.
It's 8:33 in the morning. That's all the time we got to pretend to talk about sports. That's Blake Watson. He's going to finish the morning show on Star 101, and Kevin and Mike and I are going to stay here for headlines. That's coming up next.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
Well, there it is. There it is. Thank you very much, Kevin Kerrigan. Went to where's this place? The Government of Guam Tax.com for the lineup of holidays that are coming up. Today is the 2nd of January. We are 13 days away from the first holiday. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is going to be January the 15th. And then there's the warning here. And then it's a long time between now and the next one. It won't be until March that we get into Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day on the 5th. So when Martin Luther King Jr. Day sneaks up on you, enjoy the time off. Go and find some way to provide some kind of service to other members of humanity, and then nothing until March. Just FYI. 8:34 in the morning, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: a man who admitted to smuggling about a pound of methamphetamine into Guam in his wheelchair has asked the District Court of Guam for leniency, saying his first experience with incarceration at the Department of Corrections was traumatic. 35-year-old Eric Vincent Morta Benavente is a wheelchair-bound paraplegic who suffers from a number of different health issues. He was arrested in October after arriving on a flight from Narita, and Guam Customs and Quarantine agents found 455 grams of meth concealed in his wheelchair. Benavente pleaded guilty and was detained at the DOC infirmary instead of the Agana detention facility. During a sentencing hearing, Assistant Federal Prosecutor Public Defender Leilani Lujan said her client was deprived of regular showers and social interactions with other inmates during his incarceration. Prosecution has recommended a sentence of 5 years or more in prison. Lujan countered that spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to incarcerate Benavente is a total waste of money. The actual sentence is pending a decision from the judge at a later time. The Guam Land Use Commission has approved 2 subdivision applications, one in Manilao and another in Jigo in Manilao. The commission approved the application submitted by TRI, which plans to build 17 3-bedroom single-family homes on a 12,000 square meter lot along Route 10 and Old Price Road in Jigo. The commission approved an application from Wellborn for a subdivision that will have 121 single-family residences, 1 commercial development, and 6 open green areas. The development fronts Marine Corps Drive and is located near the Spring Hill subdivision. The first child born on American soil in the new year arrived at 19 minutes past midnight, New Year's Day, at Guam Memorial Hospital. Desiree Mofnis gave birth to a son named Malachi. The boy weighed in at 6.6 pounds. Malachi's father, Kyle Mofnis, is a Guam firefighter. He told reporters yesterday that his wife and baby are healthy and happy, and that's all that matters. The Mofnis family was showered with over $6,000 worth of gifts from nearly 30 island businesses, thanks to Archway's I Love Guam New Year's Baby campaign, which they've been sponsoring since 2005. Dr. Tom Shea delivered the baby, the 19th New Year's child that he has brought into the world. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Okay, iConnect time in the studio is 8:37 a.m. Call them at 888-8888 and ask them about great New Year's plans for push-to-talk and mobile and internet with iConnect.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
We have not had a whole lot of what I would refer to as heavy traffic here this morning, at least according to the traffic gizmo. It never got crazy around any of the bases. Doesn't look like it's happening now. Looking at traffic, Marine Corps Drive, you might see a little bit of southbound build-up between the ITC building and where's that Pizza Hut over there. And then we might have a little bit of traffic around the old UIU building and that gas station that takes you into the Tumuring area. Actually, it's actually coming towards Marine Corps Drive. And maybe just a little bit here at that roadway. It's 30A is the number, but it's the roadway that goes from Payless towards St. Anthony School. A little bit of traffic that is building up northbound in that direction. Don't see too much else that's going to be a bother for you. 8:38. Mel Mendiola in the studio next.
Docomo Pacific is making the Better Together bundle even better. 2 great services plus more. Get unlimited local calls, SMS, and 20 gigs of data, plus unlimited home internet for $109 a month. Sign up today and get free installation and choose between a free Galaxy S8, S8 Plus, or $100 off select devices. Mobile plus online from Docomo Pacific. Better together. Some conditions apply. See store for details.
What we're working on right now is the genealogy of certain other members of the fiscal discipline team, including somebody that you're going to be working with as your deputy administrator of the Guam Economic Development Authority. It's Ricky Hernandez, and I like I said, I know Ricky Hernandez, but the one that I know doesn't have quite the number of credentials that your guy is going to have.
Yeah, he's very qualified. So Ricky spent some time in the legislature, quite a bit amount of time in the legislature. I believe he has a.
Oh, so despite the time at the legislature, he's qualified.
Come on, Ray.
No, see, did you hear that? That's the Luli under Ray. And it's the second time that one of the names on the list has used my name almost that way. I was talking to Daphne, who's going to be over at the Department of Revenue and Taxation, and I said something that caused her to give me the Raymond. Which is the sound that the women in my family make when I've done something or said something that was inappropriate.
They don't call you Ramon?
You can call me Ramon. That's fine.
Ramon?
Frank, yeah.
What were you thinking?
Frank Uggan calls me that. Calls me Ramon. There's I have many nicknames. My favorite one.
I think the tomorrow name for Ray is Bo.
Bo, yeah,
Bo, right?
Bo. You can call me Bo. Around the house, there's the other family name. This is a nice interview you're having with me already.
Oh yeah, very productive.
Is Mong? They call me short for Mamong.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so I'm Mong around the house. Shelley, generally. As we get through this, 8:41 in the morning, and yeah, as Joy is pointing out, I am a little bit hyper this morning. Don't know why. I think maybe I'm just excited about the new year and all of these incredible possibilities. So I talked to Jay Rojas this morning and said, any advice that he can leave you or things that you need to know about this new role over at GITA that you're about to step into. And he indicated that there might need to be, as you've done in the past with a few other things, there might need to be a little bit of community education and awareness built into exactly what the mission is for GITA. Because otherwise it looks like this, this slushy money coming in and out and boards that meet and all of this other stuff.
I think so. And I think that's a lot of that's probably one of the reasons why they brought me on was for that kind of the making the connection and building the bridges with the community. I know that's a huge priority for our so I had a meeting recently with our incoming board chair, David John. Yeah. And David John was saying it's a huge priority for us to kind of to go back to the legislature, especially to our new members of the legislature, here and build bridges and really educate the public about what GITA is there for and what exactly it is that we do.
Otherwise, there's going to be oversight hearings on the same crap we've had oversight hearings on for the last couple of years. Tell me about this qualifying certificate program, and tell me how much money is actually being abated, and where those funds are being used. Are they being used there? Are they being used to buy airplane tickets?
Right, and it's our hope that most of the education happens and most of those questions get answered before the final product is even submitted to the legislature for review. Or we would hope that the agency would be that GITA would be very good with the different the applicants and share with them. These are all the bells and whistles that identifying bells and whistles from the get go and really kind of working towards it. I mean, when you think about it, when you go out and get a loan from a bank, right? When you go out and get a loan from a bank and you say, I have this business idea and here's what I want to do and here's how I want to get this business loan. The business banker doesn't sit back and give you kind of a cryptic smile and say, all right, well, good luck with that. Good luck with that, right? They say, these are the things you need to go back and work on, right? And so these are some of the things that we're that I think probably would be good that if we address from the get-go, maybe it doesn't have to get as far as these sort of confrontational exchanges with the legislature.
Well, it could be. There's and it's funny that you bring that up and disclosure. We've got some of our financial history in this company involves meetings and documentation that we had to work through with our lender and GITA. So there's obviously there that. And my sister's currently the deputy director of the department.
Is this an SSBCI?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, well, I mean, it was available. We met all the right criteria and asked. Obviously, there's a bamboo curtain that got put up separating the siblings here from any of the decision making process, as it should have been. But yeah, it was actually quite painless to go through that process, and it was nice to know that there was somebody around that would help guarantee things.
Right. No, definitely.
So it's all that's among the things. But there's the great myth and legend of GITA, right? Like it's qualifying certificates and what people will refer to as corporate welfare.
I mean, they of course do that as a function of their business, and and that's one thing that we're our board chair is also interested in looking at is some sort of I mean, I don't know if you read the article in the paper about the auditor kind of making comments about GITA and how
there was clarification that was being asked about where that spend was, and you can't saying and Jay made it pretty clear in our conversation this morning is that as far as expenditures go, everything is for development and what the auditor is looking for is maybe a few more tabs. Maybe let's clarify, if you will, how this is part of development and what it actually did.
Sure.
Is it postage? Is it tickets? What?
Yeah, no. Recently, this happened in a federal fund in a federal funded program. When I was at Farm to Table with the ANA, the Administration for Native Americans was moving towards this approach called objective-based budgeting, where they were looking at these are your activities and this is the budget assigned to those specific activities. And I think that's a relatively new thing in our federal reporting requirements. And so I don't know how new or how recent, or if it's just sort of the appetite of the current public auditor versus previous public auditors. But I don't think there's anything wrong with asking an agency to articulate what they're using money for, whether it's and how much of it is really direct marketing as opposed to indirect marketing. Because Jay's absolutely right. The function of GITA could very well be 100% business development, but there is business development that's a little more clear and direct versus business development that might be that's indirect in support of those that are going out on the ground, right? Yep. And those are more of your overhead type of things.
So how granular do we want to get with the public auditor?
Well, once again, our deputy director, Ricky Hernandez, worked for a very long time for our public auditor. Well,
so
not a very long time.
He probably already knows the answers to all of the questions.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be leaning on him pretty hard. I'm going to be leaning on him pretty hard. I said, we may just call you if I get in a bind.
Listen, I'm not smart enough to ask you questions that you don't know the answers to, and multiple degrees. How many masters do you have?
I have 2.
Why did you get two? You got nothing else going?
Right?
Is it no cable TV at the house? I think I'm just going to study like hell for another year.
I use my degrees to keep me warm at night. That's really what it is. No, I think, eventually I want to finish my PhD. How about that? Let's put that. I want to finish my PhD. And that was sort of the intent of the second master's degree, was to get going towards a PhD. But then,
You're not going to come out with a survey, are you?
I've been a little bit busy.
I suppose.
Well,
no surveys.
Surveys. Well, I'll find potentially a different way to do it.
There's other work that goes on over at Gita besides qualifying certificates and things like that. Seems to me whenever somebody needs to go out and borrow a whole chunk of money for the government of Guam one way or the other, Gita's always involved.
Right. They have their public finance area, and that's being currently run by Tina Garcia and being supported by Antoinette. Antoinette, I forgot your last name. It escapes me right now, but they're a really hardworking team. I've known them for a number of years. They do a really good job with that.
The people have been at Gita forever. There's some lifers there, right?
There are a number of employees that definitely have a long tenure. I first kind of met a lot of the employees at Gita when I worked over at the retirement fund. I was running the 401A, also known as the new plan.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had the wonderful job of going out to every agency and educating our employees about why it's important to save your money, why you must take a proactive approach towards saving towards retirement, right? And all everyone did was...
Yeah, but it's that new plan.
And everyone, I just want the old plan back. I just want the old plan back. I said, but
nobody can afford the old plan.
It's like crying over a boyfriend who's never coming back, okay? You have a perfectly good and capable current boyfriend. You just need to learn to appreciate them and utilize them.
Exactly. But that's going to be tricky. And aren't you glad you're not there anymore doing that?
Now that they have a number of different plans, I can see how it would be a confusing situation. But Paula is very capable, as is Empower Retirement and the board over there. So
yeah, I never want to get in a scrap with her.
Yeah.
Have you seen it when Paula goes after like the hospital?
She's like, pay your bill.
Yeah.
Pay your bill. People want to retire. Pay your bill.
And otherwise she's very, very sweet. You'd never think that there were fangs back there, but there are.
Never. She's a tough lady.
So 10 away from the top of the hour. Are there some things that Gita is doing now that you don't think they ought to be in the business of?
I can't say that I do right now. I think that they are. I think going out. I think business development is at the core of what they should be doing. I think that maybe some of the approaches, some of the activities, could use a kind of a second look. Yeah. I think it's important for Gita to be led by. When I say lead from the perspective of the board, the governor of Guam, as well and being carried out by the director and the deputy director. But if there's a real clear-cut vision that our governor and our incoming governor has, and the legislature is on board with that, I think that's really what's important. So I think it's that the activities of the agency probably just need some a new pair of eyes and just to see how they're doing, and that's part of where, going back to kind of what we were talking about in the beginning, which is the budgeting process. So one of the things that we wanted to do, like I said, sort of an objective-based budgeting approach. If you know the numbers, you know what you're doing, and you know what you're doing, and if it's bringing in money, if there's some kind of return on investment, like a regular business, right? And you know which activities are.
Oh, I'm going to put a crown on you just for thinking like that. That there should be a return on the investment.
Well, either that or we need to figure out because I think what's happening in a lot of situations is Gita and Jay, as the current administrator, are catching a lot of flack for saying, how come you're keeping community contributions? How come you're charging this much to the bonds? And and the question really is, where does the money for Gita actually come from? Who funds this agency? And this agency is funded by the expansion of business, and the expansion of business happens through the creation of capital, right? And I think that's where that tie-in between the creation of capital and the expansion of business, and how that then funds our different departments of the agency.
Well, then let's define the return on investment then, because it's in less than cash terms. Because what I think we would like to see from Gita period is more recruitment of businesses and industry to Guam.
Right.
We want to see more big names that we know from TV commercials and movies. We want to see all these guys coming into Guam. Where are we going to put the Walmart?
Well, one of the things, actually, it's very interesting that you say that. One of the most, I was recently reading an article as I was doing some research about this new role that I'm about to take on, and one of the things that I read in this article was that a lot of the growth is going to happen. A lot of the growth of cities and towns, etc., is when the growth is organic, when the growth comes from within. And so this is potentially building industries right here on our island. And I was very interested in that because, of course, from my background at Farm to Table, right? We want to keep it local as much as possible.
Yes.
And so I was thinking to myself, I said, okay, so from there, if it's all organic, then what is our objective then? Is our objective to get more businesses, more locally owned small businesses open? Or more locally owned small businesses open that are funded or capitalized by off-island businesses or off-island monies?
I don't see a problem with either scenario.
And those are sorts of things along the lines of, now we're talking along the lines of the incoming governor's opportunity zones. She's very interested in that, and other ways to get capital out this way.
One of the things that excites me, and I think it excites you maybe along the same lines, I was talking about this last week with somebody, is the number of pop-up businesses. I mean, it has become the non-traditional approach is becoming almost cliche around here, where you get guys, and we all know the same guys and girls, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing pop-ups, and they've got food trucks, and they're no longer bound by the old rules of brick and mortar businesses.
They're not bound by the rules of brick and mortar, but the rules are still the same. The rules have not changed. If you go to public health, GFD, One Stop, wherever you go,
they should.
The rules are still the same. And a lot of times, and even the rules need some updating, because you're looking at these.
Well, as long as we're not going to, let's look at the rules, and I'll do what like Trump says. For every rule that you want to put in place, you have to give me 2 rules that we can jettison. Right? Yeah. Because otherwise, what will happen, and frankly, I think we saw a little bit of it before. We had an offline conversation over at Infusion one day. You remember the conversation? Yeah. And part of it was I was getting ready, and I was so ticked off. I wasn't on the air yet, but I wanted to get ticked off at the legislature for kicking the food trucks off the pad that is now that used to be the old administration building in Agana.
Right.
And
I remember
thought,
this.
yeah, you remember the conversation? I was really upset about that because here there were people out there. They were taking their money. They were putting it at risk. They were taking a chance and trying to provide a service where a service was needed. Right. And the legislature got in and said, no, can't do that there. That's ours. You're not allowed.
Right.
And I was so upset about that. And they never got back. They never were able to get back over there, and it would be the perfect spot. Still, there's a hot dog stand in the corner, but she's not on the pad.
She's on the bull cart trail.
She's on the bull cart trail.
As is Farm to Table every Tuesday night.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's where I do sincerely hope that our incoming governor and our incoming legislature can talk and
encourage that.
And encourage that, because what you get from one side of the house, you get GVB and GITA saying new businesses, we encourage new business, and then you get the other side of the house saying you're not allowed to be there. Yep. You have to have this kind of there's this kind of legislation or this kind of regulation, this kind of regulation. If you look at the home kitchen laws in states like Portland, in states like Oregon, right? If you want to produce, let's say you want to pickle something, papaya.
Yes.
And you want to do it in Oregon, where papayas grow freely, obviously. If you wanted to pickle papaya, the rules and regulations, 1 page long.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like, make sure there are no pets.
Yeah.
Post your hours of business and keep it clean.
That's it.
That's pretty much it. Here in Guam, oh my God, have you seen the regulation? I mean, if you want to open up a food-based business, you must remember from the gripes of getting Infusion open.
But so let's make it as easy as possible. Right. That's the thing. So if that can be something that GITA does, is to just show the other departments and agencies in the government of Guam how to get out of the way of the entrepreneurs.
How to improve cooperation. And
Airbnbs.
Yeah. They need the hotel occupancy taxes. They need to contribute to that.
How do we find them? I mean, because here's the thing: is I don't want to. I mean, the same way that there is the democratization and the old casting of the old rules and applying new rules that might make sense. I think that it's a business that ought to be encouraged. So to what degree do they have to follow the same rules and regulations as the other hotels?
I think that's very interesting. I don't know. I think we'd have to look into that. But I think that they need to pay something. They can't just,
sure. Pay something, but are you paying at the same scale and for the same reasons as the other as a major hotel?
Right. There's potentially less of an environmental impact, right, with one condo or one unit as opposed to an entire development or an entire structure.
Don't need to build new power plants or water plants.
You know,
or
on the other side of that equation, though, one unit doesn't create the number of jobs that a major development does.
But it's how do we want it's decentralized growth, right? As opposed to centralized growth, it would be decentralized, and there would be other jobs and other opportunities that would be coming up from that decentralization. It's the same argument I think that the guys in the solar energy business are in, and they want bigger breaks for their customers because it's better for them. Of course, the electric company says, well, there's still a burden on our side, and thus there's still a burden on our existing customers. So the playing field has to be made level, even among these smaller decentralized players.
And I also think, kind of speaking to that point about central is that, and I generally think
I'm struggling here. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to keep up with 2 MBAs, right? So
I think Airbnb is good. Okay, I've stayed at Airbnbs before. They're fantastic. Okay, I think a lot of it is really a question of getting the Airbnb owners together. Maybe just a couple of them. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe cloak and dagger style. Really, just in the dark.
Well, they need to make their own association, but
and getting the Airbnb association members together and saying, hey, come on, do we really want a situation where one day you could all just be shut down, if somebody just really cares to do that? Or do you want a situation where you can regulate and get ones that are open that continue to improve the reputation of Guam as a travel destination, et cetera? Can we agree upon some things? Over at EOG, Austin Shelton over at the Center for Island Sustainability did that with, he got together with Cars Plus. And they had a session to talk about soil erosion, and I think it was something along the lines of protecting our watersheds and protecting from coral bleaching, a lot of which is caused by soil being kind of unsettled, right? And a percentage of that is being done by off-roading vehicles, but a lot of it is being done by new construction, new projects, et cetera, right? And one of the things that came out of that meeting was, and if there was a part of it that was a little bit confrontational, because it was like, well, how much damage do we really create as opposed to all these other guys, right? Yeah. But to come together and cooperate and say, let's decide on the rules of the road. Let's decide on when we're going to close down a trail. And
before somebody over at the legislature does it for us. Sometimes we see the same anxiety between the fishermen and their use of the ocean, and some people will say that these guys are taking too much out. Hey, it's just in front of 9 o'clock. I got the news coming up in a second. Can you stick around for a little bit longer? Sure. Jennifer Wynn is going to be coming in from what is going to be the new congressional district office, but I want to finish up the conversation because we didn't hardly talk about Gita at all.
Okay, sounds great.
Mel Mendiola in the studio. We'll be right back.
There could be a breakthrough. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. As the government shutdown is now in its 11th day, President Trump tweeting at presumptive House Speaker Nancy Pelosi that she does not want to start her tenure this way as the White House invites leaders to a sit-down.
A possible meeting, actually a briefing to be given by DHS officials from the Trump administration to a senior cadre of congressional lawmakers sometime on Wednesday. There's been some reporting that could possibly happen, and I say possibly because we have also gotten new reporting from Chad Pergram, our senior producer over on Capitol Hill, that it's not entirely certain this briefing will in fact take place because some of the key players aren't actually here in Washington.
Fox's to Kevin Corke at the White House. The plane carrying a seriously injured 11-month-old boy pulled from the rubble of a collapsed building in Russia has landed in Moscow, where he's to undergo medical treatment. 9 bodies have been recovered from the building. The building collapsed after an explosion believed to have been caused by a gas leak. An American under arrest in Russia. The family of Paul Whelan, a former Marine, says they're concerned for his safety as the Kremlin claims he's a spy.
State Department spokesperson says the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has formally notified the United States of his detention. The spokesperson says international law requires Russia to grant access to U.S. officials. and that officials have requested to see Whelan. The State Department has not responded to questions of whether American officials have actually visited him yet.
Fox's Rich Edson in Washington. 6 passengers on a Frontier Airlines flight from Cleveland to Tampa have gotten sick. Local TV reports health officials boarded the plane when it landed at Tampa International Airport, and the sick passengers were taken off the flight. They were not traveling together. The remaining passengers were kept on the plane for about an hour, but were taken off about later on. It's not clear what symptoms the passengers experienced. This is Fox News.
Cheers to 80 years. It's our 80th anniversary and the gifts are on us. 80 gift certificates, 8 shopping sprees, 8 staycations, and 1 round-trip flyaway for 2 to Manila. So how do you enter? Calvo's Insurance personal home and auto customers are automatically entered. Non-Calvo's customers may enter by receiving a qualified quote. It's our way of saying thank you for trusting us for the past 80 years. For more details, visit calvos.com/giveaway or call 472-6816. Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years.
There's a reason every day a Guam homeowner is getting a solar system installed by Micronesia Renewable Energy. It's because MRE is the most trusted name in solar. With more solar energy solutions than any other solar company on island, homeowners have a choice to go solar for zero money down or take the path to ownership. Whichever way, it keeps our skies blue and your pockets green. And with the most experienced solar technicians and an energy production guarantee, there are no worries. Call 632-2613 for a free consultation. MRE, the smarter choice.
Reaction coming in now that a high-profile Democrat announced that she's considering a run for president in 2020.
In a YouTube video, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren announced the launch of an exploratory committee for a potential 2020 presidential bid.
If we fight together, if we persist together, we can win.
The Progressive Change Campaign Committee calling Warren the most electable among many potential contenders with progressive positions. Critics, including Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel, calling Warren out of touch, tweeting, "Americans will see her for what she is, another extreme far-left obstructionist and a total fraud." Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Officials in Florida say a 2-year-old girl has been injured after falling into the rhino exhibit at the Brevard Zoo. The extent of the girl's injuries is not known, but zoo officials say they don't believe the rhino's horn touched the girl. One state's pot industry making a push for interstate trade.
If one group has its way, Oregon could be as well known for its Pinot Noir as for its pot. The Statesman Journal reporting that industry association Craft Cannabis Alliance is working with legislators to let Oregon start exporting marijuana to other legal weed states by 2021. Oregon's legal weed industry has been struggling with plummeting prices over the past year due to demand not keeping up with supply. Oregon demands weed grown or sold there stay within state borders, and marijuana remains federally illegal. An anti-pot group calls the proposal a desperate attempt to tackle the out-of-control black market production in Oregon. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
The number of magnitude 3.0 or greater earthquakes in Oklahoma has declined for the 3rd consecutive year after regulators began directing oil and natural gas producers to close some wells and reduce injection volumes in others. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
Ang insurance ay di dapat maging hadlang sa mga gastusin ngayong bagong taon. Kaya naman, ang Nanbo Insurance ay katuwang mo sa pagbibigay ng kasiyahan at kapanatagan ng loob. Sa Nanbo Insurance Home and Auto or Motorcycle Bundle Up Plan, makakatipid ka hanggang 50% off. Huwag gumastos ng sobra ngayong bagong taon. Tumawag lamang sa 477-9754 or online nanbo.com para sa higit na impormasyon. Mula sa aming Nanbo Pamilya, masaganang bagong taon sa inyong lahat.
5 after 9, portions of the program brought to you by my friends over at King's Restaurant, where they've got the crazy holiday menu in full effect and in full swing right now, or it might be going away soon, because I think there's only a certain amount of time that they're allowed to be crazy over at King's. So line up and try out all the different. They got 7 combos, and it's basically roast turkey with everything else that they make over at King's that you like: hams and fried chicken and shrimp and kelligwin and shrimp patty and lumpia, and I'm going to say lumpia again because I like the way they do that, and fried chicken some more and pork chops. Get into some of these combos while you you can at King's.
Helen Keller once said, "Blindness separates us from things, but deafness separates us from people." At Ross Hearing Aids, it's their mission to keep you connected to the moments and the people that matter most in your life. Hearing aid technology has never been better, so schedule your complimentary hearing consultation today. Call Ross Hearing Aids 637-HEAR, 637-4327. You should hear what you're missing. I love you, Daddy. How's your hearing?
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future. Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for your open heart surgical needs.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Oh, this is going to make me crazy. I'm trying to look something up here on and do you ever get to a point where you're starting to just Google things and you try to narrow it down and eventually you put in too many words and now Google can't find it?
Yes.
Of the a billion things that Google is in
and
charge of.
then you remove one word, but it's a keyword, and you're like, now I got nothing.
I get to zero. Something is Guam Public-Private Britney Spears, and then it all went away. 7 after 9, and that's what I'm trying to look up here. There is another mechanism, another investment mechanism, but only for certain industries, by which GITA has got funds that are set aside. And public, I want to say they're PPTs, is the name of the program, and then there's certain dollars that are guaranteed to be tax abated. And there's like this pot of money that they say, okay, you know, and that's what I'm trying to look up. It's something that Dave Sablon and I've talked about many times.
So it's a QC in a different dress.
Kind of, sort of, but
Yeah.
it makes it so that these funds would be used. I want to say to abate the taxes that would normally be coming in as a result of these investments. But again, they're only in specific industries. I want to say
Something for some reason aquaculture sticks out of my brain when you say that.
Aquaculture and solid waste or waste to energy. They've got these systems that and in fact, Dave Sablon, when he was working with GRRP, actually had put out an application for one of these things years and years ago, back when Kim's dad was still running the thing over at GITA. But I don't know that anything ever came of that. But the idea was they'd be able to go out and be able to, without using federal funds or without using local funds, be able to attract different businesses. And I kind of want to go back to the conversation with you on that about recruiting. I mean, do you have a plan in your head, or working with David John and Rick Hernandez to, I don't know, sort of go out there and court some of these businesses? I mean, is there a LinkedIn for GITA where you can plug in and say, come to Guam and here's our investment opportunities for you?
Right. I think one of the things that we're looking at is kind of what do we need to get? What are the sort of what happens in sort of the pre-campaign period? So you're going out and you're asking for all this money, but right before you do that, there are certain things that need to kind of, you have to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. For example, if we're bringing in a new hotel, how is this H-2B visa issue affecting the ability to get that hotel up and running, right? And so how involved, I think it's really how involved in this. And this is a question that I'm kind of, that we'll be exploring.
I'm about to do a Ken Joe. You need to think holistically.
You need to think holistically, absolutely. But one of the things I think that we're looking at potentially is how involved does GITA need to be in things like H-2B visa? How involved do we need to be in things like looking at the licensing process and looking at getting the businesses off the ground, because they could be very well willing to come to Guam. You know, one of the things that I had a conversation with David John about is he said how much of the he said how much of the tax rebates or the tax reduction is really a draw for people, as opposed to, is there a vibrant workplace? Is there a vibrant
skilled, educated workforce?
Skilled, educated workforce. Is there infrastructure here to develop? Because if you can't even create a product here, then if you can't even sell a product, taxes are not going to be an issue to you. You will be losing for an indefinite amount of time, in which case you will not be worried about saving money on taxes.
Yeah.
So it's really, I think, about what industries are we trying to bring here out of the gate? If they're going to be profitable, then perhaps the taxes are going to be a big issue for them. But out of the gate, if there's still a lot to do, if there's still a lot to get them up and running, then what are the ways that GITA will cooperate with other organizations like the University of Guam or RevTax or Public Works, et cetera, to make sure that we're ready to go and that we're ready to go out and sell a good product.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. What is the job environment? You come to somebody and say, okay, we'd like you to come here and do this work, and then they come and find out that that maybe we oversold the literacy of our the batch of potential employees that we have.
Right. And is that even good for Guam if we brought in a company who brought in all of their talent from off island and didn't and there wasn't anything local, there wasn't the talent locally available? I think there's so much talent locally available. We need to be able to bring in industries to support our local talent, as well as to continue to build programs, et cetera, over at the University of Guam.
What's attractive in your eyes? I mean, when you think about some of these other industries? I know that we leaned a little bit on farm to table, so obviously, agriculture is going to be a big deal. I think there are a number of opportunities that we've got, and if for no other reason, our own food security,
right.
which is it's something, frankly, I've lost sleep over. Is I always ask myself, what's going to happen when there's the bright light and the planes stop flying and the boats stop coming to Guam? How are we going to be able to feed 170,000 of us?
Just looking at food security in the region, right? We just had Typhoon Yutu over in Saipan, and one of their biggest needs was bottled water. But beyond that, when you think about food, right? How can we have food security not only in Guam but in the region, right?
Oh, I've had this conversation. Ham radio buddies of mine out in Ulithi, and they got swamped by a storm a couple of years ago, and it knocked down every banana tree, every breadfruit tree, every coconut tree,
right.
and everything had to be brought in from the other islands that weren't quite as devastated. And I asked the question. I said, "Well, you guys live in an atoll. What about fishing?" And the guy says, "We don't fish anymore,
right?"
There's a store. We buy our chickens in a bag from the store, and then we buy our fish from the guys at the fish store.
One of the things, I mean, maybe this isn't really an industry per se, but I think education in Guam, there are a number of people who come to Guam to take the CPA exam. Okay. There are a number of people who come to Guam to take the CPA exam. That funds the Guam Board of Accountancy, which then funds scholarships and programs at the University of Guam for accounting. The current president of the University of Guam, Dr. Kreis, is very interested in growing certificate programs, et cetera. Yeah. I think that could be a huge draw, our sort of from Asia, right? As far as educational. I don't exactly know what the industry
but what's
is
what's the private angle on that? What's the invisible hand going to get from that?
Well, I'll tell you, George Chu sits on my board at GITA, and who also sits on my board at the Endowment Foundation.
What an amazing vocabulary the man has.
Oh yes. So George Chu said that when these CPA students would come to Guam, when these people would come to Guam to take the CPA, he said the Fiesta Hotel had a whole program for them in the sense that all they're trying to do is study and take the exam. They're not trying to Google, they're not trying to Yelp the best restaurant. They're not trying to do anything. They eat all their meals in the hotel. They stay in the hotel. They utilize all the amenities of the hotel. They come get a massage when they're done with their CPA exam. And so what we're talking about here is a very kind of low impact tourist, right? They're not going around and littering the beaches. They don't have time to go to the beaches, right?
It's an interesting concept. It's almost lodging, a different kind of lodge, educational lodging, if you will. So
conferences, conferences, et cetera. There's a number of conferences that don't require an expo hall. Right? There's academic conferences all over Asia that could potentially take place here in Guam.
Well, now you tell us. I built that whole Dusitani. It holds 1,000 people.
I mean, that's a good looking place. I'm not going to lie. I like going there very much. I love those side rooms with the windows to the ceiling.
Oh my God, golden hour.
Great, beautiful.
Anyway, so those are some of the things that we might find attractive. But you're right. I think there's work that needs to be done here, where we start talking about the infrastructure of all of this. So, have you talked to a bunch of your friends over at the Chamber and the GYP about what revolutionary ideas that they might have to make you look good in this new job?
Well, a lot of them are just, like, for example, today, they said, do you want to call in to Ray's show or do you want to show up? And I said, I'll
show up.
I said, I'll call in. I'll be in Manila. And then they said, show up. And I said, okay, so I'll show up. So that was to make me look good on the job, I suppose.
Yeah.
I've spoken to, Jay, of course. Jay and I reached out. We're going to meet again today.
Well, I think that's it's almost coincidental between the two of you. I mean, it's not like you're strangers to each other.
Oh, yeah. No, Jay and I have known each other since the beginning of GYP. He was the president chair. I was the secretary. So it seems like kind of and then I became the chair a couple years later. So it kind of seems like a natural sort of transition. It's a very nice transition. Our birthdays are like 5 days apart.
Well, and I figured it was going to be a smooth transition anyway, just because of the characters involved.
Well, I was a little afraid that Jay might play like a prank on me and remove all the M's from the keyboards or something like that.
Just turn them upside down, so every time you type an M, it's a W that pops through. Now, and I don't know that he's capable. Clinton did that when they left the White House. I think is one of the things that they did when they went through that process there. And then I'm being asked by Janae, and it was Janae who actually got everything all set up for me. I appreciate your assistance around here, but she's asking me to ask you to talk about a specific program that you do with the Guam Women's Chamber.
Oh my gosh!
What is it?
Well, okay, so I wrote this article.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this article in a journal. It's called the Journal of Financial Therapy, and the article is about women who earn more than their spouses, and it was called "Does It Matter Who Makes More? Exploring relationship satisfaction where income disparities exist." It was some really
So you made a workship out of this?
long title. Okay, so what I did was this article was like 20 pages long or 18 pages, very academic language sounding. If you want to Google Scholar it, feel free. Melanie Mendiola. I ended up turning it into a workshop for not the Guam Women's Chamber. It was the Chamber of Commerce Chamber Business Women's Network, and they turned it into into kind of a breakfast where I did like a breakfast workshop. And what I did was I actually did it with Risha Uggan, who's a marriage and family therapist. And so my portion of it was to talk about, to kind of scare the heck out of all these ladies who make more money than their spouses, and say, okay, these are the issues that women who earn more face, and
it's a real thing, yeah.
Like it's a real thing. And then Risha's job was to kind of help with the psychological aspects of coming to terms with it, because we're talking about things like identity. You know, we're talking about this is the first generation where there is a large proportion. You know, so let's look at your daughter.
Are you kidding? I'm looking at the names of all of these people that are being picked by the transition team that are going to have their names dropped off over at the
Futures
legislature.
from Malawan, man.
Yeah, it is. It's weighted very heavily towards the females,
right? And if you look at
not that anything is wrong with that,
right?
So, but I'm wondering. I mean, this everybody says matrilineal society, matrilineal this, matrilineal that. But at the end of the day, are the men of Guam, are any of them?
How are they coping?
I think I'm coping all right.
You think you're coping all right?
Yeah, 6-pack a night, I'm good.
You look like you're coping all right.
And there's definitely coping going on, but I don't know that there's anybody that's feeling at risk as a result of this. And frankly, some of the guys that I've talked to that used to wander the halls of power, going, yeah, let the girls do it. That's cool. I just sit back.
I think that's I think that's a lot of what's happening is I think women are not used to for the women they're not used to kind of they're having this kind of crisis where they're sort of feeling like, wait, aren't I supposed to look for a man who makes more money than me, and I have a perfectly great guy that I'm with right now, and but he doesn't make quite as much money. Does that mean I do? And well, but more so than that, do I delay things like purchasing a home? Do I delay things like, because a lot of women do. A lot of women who earn, high income earning women or higher proportionally, they'll delay things like purchasing a home or saving for retirement or things along those lines, because purchasing a home, they'll say, oh, if I buy a home now, then I won't be able to get, it'll make me less attractive for marriage because, you know, I'm kind of like already set and we can't make that decision together, right? And a lot of women also have the tendency to plan for today as opposed to the future orientation. So like, for example, let's say you and I were doing a retirement meeting, right? And I said, Ray, if you want to have $1 million by the time you're 60, you need to save 15% of your gross income. You'll say, okay, sure, 15%. Sign on the dotted line. Give me the paper.
Yep.
Okay. For me, I'll look at the presenter and I'll say 15%. You know, but this year my kids want to go to summer camp, and we were thinking about going on that trip. And I think the house needs this, and I think the house. So there's this. Women have a lot on their minds that oftentimes influence their decision to make their future decisions about money, future oriented decisions about money.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know that that's gender specific though, because I think there's any of us that have grown into credit card bills and mortgages and insurance and things like that we're all trying to figure out how we're going to get all of that different spend, and it comes down to one of the things I think women do better than men in a lot of cases is prioritize. And figure out where those so if it's 15% and I absolutely positively have to put this money away into this place, then this is where I'm going to sacrifice on.
Right.
But still going to get the nails done.
Still going to get the nails
Still
done.
going to get the hair
right.
done.
And that was another thing I was sharing with the ladies. I said, come on, ladies. I said, we need to take care. Self-care, right? That's kind of a big thing. That's
self-love.
Self-love has kind of emerged as this concept, right?
I did an entire hour of that with Darlene Garcia last Friday.
Yeah.
And Monday.
And I said, and I was sharing with the ladies, I said, self-care is important. I said, but don't get a weekly pedicure and then not save in your 401k, or don't get
that lady there. She was talking about you. Yes, we know her. And another woman entrepreneur. Absolutely. Yep. So there's going to be, I suppose, some of that kind of thing, and outreach between the organization that is currently GITA now, and then working with other departments and agencies of the government of Guam to be able to, as we go out and try to be attractive to the next big company that we want to do business on Guam, we've got to make sure that we've got adequate roadways and that we've got adequate the workforce infrastructure. So that means a lot more time, I suppose, at the University of Guam and GCC. You know anybody at UOG, by the way?
Oh, yeah, a few people here and there.
What are they going to do? Who's going to run the foundation?
Well, we're getting our transition plan over at the foundation together. We have a very, very capable fiscal person. Her name is Katrina Perez, who will likely take over as far as supervisory. But we're going to really lean on our gals like Miracle Mugul and Sarah, who handled our alumni giving very successfully handled our alumni giving campaign. G is for giving.
I love that shirt.
I'm glad.
Still wear it.
So we'll probably we'll do another press release before I leave about the results of G is for Giving. We're still getting donations trickling in, but we're past our goal right now.
Well, it's the first of the year, and maybe there still might be some time for donations to come through that will make a difference in your tax position from last year.
Yeah, potentially.
So talk to people about that. Let me just because I want to make sure that in terms of completeness here, I've gone over a couple of things that I think are interesting about you that I wanted to share with the listeners. We talked about farm to table, and then financial planning among minorities. Let me just do some of that, as opposed to just women in specific.
Sure.
What are some of the perils that minorities face in financial planning?
With minorities, it's okay. All of our money values. The odds are that we get our money values, our values surrounding money, our beliefs surrounding money. The odds are we get it from our parents.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
So now, when it comes to minorities, you're dealing with there's this sense of, let's look at among African Americans. Yeah. There's a sense of distrust of financial institutions because you're talking about a time when slavery existed. They couldn't own anything, right? And here in Guam, we could potentially be dealing with a lot of the same things because there's sort of this distrust of the system of the man, right? And that then leads to stuffing the mattress, right? Stuffing the mattress, and then stuffing the mattress has its own set of risks, right?
Yeah, because there might be a fire and the mattress might burn up.
There might be a fire. You might get robbed.
Yeah.
Right? And so minorities, or nowadays they're called at-risk populations.
Oh.
Okay. So our at-risk populations might have different money values being passed on from their parents. They might be observing different money, or their orientation, who they're around, their values, right? They might have a neighbor who is going and buying, new rims every year. Yeah. And they're like, man, I want that. Instead of doing something for their future and maybe those services aren't readily available, right? When I was working in financial services, one of the things I always noticed was I said, why is it that we're ready to we're doling out financial advice, to people who have a lot of money already. This is when I was at Merrill Lynch, right?
Yeah.
And I said, the people who need the financial advice are people who aren't eligible to be our clients.
Well, see, when you start talking about financial advice, though, and one of them I just gave you a second ago is advice in terms of how do I prevent more of my hard-earned money going to the man that runs the government of Guam, and because I don't trust them to handle my dough, so I want to keep as much tax money as I've got. So that's one of the reasons why I've got a financial advisor. That's why I've got people that I go to and say, look, I've got an extra $100 this month. Where should I put it? What should I do with my money? That, by the way, if you're listening, is just an example, and a far-fetched example at that. I never have an extra $100 left over at the end of the month. I don't remember a time where I did, and if I did, I'd blow it on something like rims, as you say. But I hear the point that you're making is that there is a whole, and maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe I did get these habits from my mother. My mother was excellent at putting money away and excellent at spending it. And so I've taken this because of my observations. I am also excellent at spending my money.
Right. There you go.
I missed the lesson about putting
what
stuff in money.
What I was going to say was, so along the lines of Gita, what you have with Gita are these, Gita oftentimes functions as a lender of last resort.
I recall, yeah.
So after you're going to this, if you go to this bank and get turned down, you go to this bank and get turned down, you come to Gita. Some of the responsibility on the agency may just be to help with the financial education of these individuals. We want successful businesses to be, we want your business to be successful and to thrive because we want jobs created. We want our tax base to grow.
We'd like you to be able to pay back the loan.
Oh yeah, we'd like you to pay back the loan 100% with interest, right? But along those lines, will you ever be able to be will you ever be at the level to do that if your financial house is still kind of shaky, right? If your financial foundation isn't sound. And so I think that's something that's really important for, at least for us to transmit in the process.
So how do we break that chain? And as you're saying, there are generational issues at stake here for the at-risk population. Right. And so how do we break that chain? And I think one of the problems that we have around here, and we may disagree on this point, is that there are people that are comfortably poor. That for which there is a government program to assist them into perpetuity. So there's no,
and their children
and their children and their grandchildren. So there is no requirement for them to get any kind of financial advice or seek a different kind of financial independence because somebody is taking care of them.
Right.
And there will always be somebody that takes care of them. So why do I have to save money if I know at the end of the month this little magic card will have more money put into it?
Well, I think a lot of it is by sharing the inspiring stories of locals who have done a really great job of building something for themselves. We just had a conversation offline about Pika and Lenny and starting up.
We need to bring that conversation online. I think these two are fantastic folks.
Pika and Lenny are great entrepreneurs. They're local. And if you talk to Lenny, he'll tell you his story. He'll tell you about being from Agate and all of that, and the kind of life that he said. These are your options when you grow up in Agate. And I don't want to kind of spoil the surprise or anything like that, but because I think you should bring them on air to talk about it
one of these days. Yeah.
But I think that if we show that there are people on this island who can build a life for themselves, and it started off as an idea and turned into this kind of enterprise of, it's a sort of a number of locally owned establishments that we can be so proud of. Every off-island guest should go to Pika's, Kishinlingo, and or Kadu, or if not all three.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's something that I think if we tell that story, if we tell the story of the local who's kind of done well for themselves, and then I think that'll inspire more people. Because I think a lot of it is I don't want to dream because it's too far away from me, right? I don't want to dream because it's not even possible. But if you see it in somebody who looks just like you, sounds just like you, and I think that with our incoming female governor, she's done that for a lot of women. A lot of women said, oh, it's going to be a while before we have a female governor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then she went through this process, and it was not an easy race for her to win, and she won. And I think she inspired a lot of women. I think we'll see a lot more women in politics.
Do you think that's why she was elected, because she was a woman?
No, I don't think she was elected because she was a woman. I think she was elected because she was the best qualified.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the reason I think that people attacked certain qualities that she had because she's a woman. You know, I never hear people attacking a governor because of you know, they'll say, oh, his voice is too high pitched or something like that. They'll always attack women for stuff like that. You know, they'll say, oh, you know, she shouldn't be so like this or like that. I don't know. So
I had heard some of that and dismissed
Chatter.
it, and and dismissed the person that was pushing those kinds of things because it didn't make any difference to me. I thought some of the things, and one of the things that I enjoyed the most was her stepping out of what I thought was a pretty. I thought I knew Lou, but when she started running for governor, I met a different Lou.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and one that happily surprised me. But yeah, and maybe one of these days we'll get around to having some of the rest of that conversation. You see, your Guam Young Professional of the Year, yada, yada, yada. Keeps you warm at night? That award?
All my degrees.
All the degrees.
And awards.
And SBA's Minority Business Champion for Advocacy for Local Farmers and Food-Based Business. And we spent a little bit of time talking about that. Economics degree from New York University.
Oh, yes. And East Asian Studies and a business minor.
Good night. Just somebody
I took myself, let's just say, Ray, I took myself very seriously in my early 20s.
And what are we gonna do about that now?
Well, we'll see.
So what's going to happen? Let me ask you this question since we got into the conversation about women in politics. We have a lady at Adelute. And we have 10 of her sisters at the legislature.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Is this going to be the most productive 2 years that we're going to have?
I sure hope so. It will be for Gita.
Yeah. Well, and the reason why I ask is because there are people that will point out there's certain rivalries that have existed between women forever. You know, did you get to sit at the cool table and all of that? So I'm wondering if there is going to be a built-in rivalry, or will there be a built-in, I hope, harmony of interests?
Well, I think that one thing that Lou has the ability to do is inspire. And I think that she has, I think as much as the women at the legislature are sort of, they are their own politician, they are their own leader. I do think that they can't take away they can't take away that she has been there. She is a former legislator, so she knows what's going on. Okay, and I think that the fact that the majority comes from the same party as Lou is going to help, and I think that Lou is taking it. I think that our incoming governor is taking it very seriously to involve the legislature along the way, and to be very collaborative in the efforts.
I would hope so, because we've seen cases in the past where, even though the Adelup and the legislature were of like mind, there was still a loyal opposition between the parties, or not the parties, but
there's this kind of siloed
the government,
behavior, right?
And I thought, well, that's why nothing was able to get done in a lot of cases, because we had people that should have been able to identify a harmony of interest, but wanted to just cause trouble for no other reason than to bring maybe my next political opponent or rival over at the legislature down, or bring the governor's office down a little bit in the process. And as I said, it made it so that this is unproductive. And where we have issues that are important, like the infrastructure, like our workforce, then I think that serves to the detriment of the island.
Right.
Yeah. So make sure that there's no girl fights.
I'm gonna do my best.
You should be like Switzerland. You should be able to look. I'm just Gita, but we're gonna get together and we're gonna have tea.
We're just gonna have a party. We're just gonna have a party, ladies. We're just
wine, red wine. That's what I'm thinking. 9:34 in the morning. It's fun talking with you.
Thank you, Ray. It's fun talking with you too.
Yes, one of these days we'll actually have an interview.
I know.
You want to do that? We'll plan it out. And I'll ask, but it's just so much fun.
If we had Ricky here with us, Ricky Hernandez, our deputy director,
he would have kept us straight,
deputy director, he would have kept us on track. I really think he would have. The problem is, Ray, I think we're just, we're friends, right? So
yeah, well, I think there's that, but I don't know. It's the other part is I don't like doing interviews anyway.
Talk radio.
That would have been
no fun if
short.
it's on track.
What's that?
So talk radio is no fun if it stays on
track.
It
just feels sterile and lifeless and dull. That's why we're on FM, so you can hear the extra sizzle and the charge in the conversation. Mel, it's always good talking with you. We'll get around to doing that again in the future. It's 9:34, and that is iConnect time. Swing by the nearest iConnect and find out how they're going to make your life Just incredible. Just you'll be happy like the other people that you see in the cell phone commercials, right? Learn about the great plans that they've got for you for internet and push to talk and mobile plans by calling 888-8888.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Chili's 3 for Me menu just got bigger. We're giving you more choices for the same great price. For just $15, you can get a beverage, salad, and an entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a house salad and select your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our half-rack ribs, Cajun chicken pasta, old-timer burger, personal chicken fajitas, or the flavorful margarita flatbread. So hurry in today and enjoy our Chili's 3 for Me menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
How do you handle days off? Are you loaded up with chores, trying to catch up, leaving you more or less exhausted just in time to start a new week? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we'll look at ideas to lighten that load and make that off time more enjoyable.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
There needs to be a thing. So I sent a text to somebody on the WhatsApp, and I realized I didn't want to actually send that message to that person, so I deleted it. You know, and WhatsApp gives you the thing. It says the message has been deleted. And you ever look at a message from somebody that has been deleted and go, what? What did they say? What was the gist of that message that they decided probably very quickly to get in there and delete, not just for themselves, but for everyone? So the fun of doing that is when you're in a group, and it's like, say, a group that you were going to leave anyway. So what you want to do is you want to type something. I've told you this before, but I'll tell you it again because personally it's amusing. But you type something in there and then delete it and then leave the group. And then everybody goes, what? What happened? What? Why is Ray mad? Why did he leave the group? All of that kind of thing. And you just never bother mentioning it to anybody else what the reason was. In this case, it was a misdirected message that was meant for the office, and I didn't mean to send it to you, and that's just all there is to that. 888-825-5888-TALK. One of the things, one of the reasons why Pika's name came up in the conversation that we had just a few minutes ago is because they've apparently got a new restaurant, sort of. And I want to say that they're very unique the way they put together their businesses. You know, they got the little Pika's Cafe, but it's not like it's open all the time. And you got to know the secret magic moment to go there when there's actually room. I can't tell you the number of times I've driven up to the location and looked inside, and there were already people waiting. Right, and I don't know when that time is. Of course, love going to Kitchen Lingo. So one of my favorite to-dos on a Thursday is just go hang out and see what's going on. And they when they unveiled their new menu, they had a little tasting event night that went along with that. Now, I thought that was a terrific deal. But anyway. And the other part of this is they've got a new business, apparently, and this comes to me from Blake, who has been there already. It's called Kadu, Local Soups to Go. And the deal is it's a takeout restaurant, as in there's no chairs. Apparently chairs just to sit down and wait for them to bring out your soup, but nothing to sit down and actually eat the soup at. So I think that's a kind of an interesting way to go. And as I was talking with Mel, there's a whole bunch of people that we've got running around town, entrepreneurial spirit to be sure. Very, very strong entrepreneurial spirit, but less of a desire to open a business like their dads would have or their grandparents would have. We want to do it different. We want to do it our way, and your rules don't necessarily mean the same thing to us as they did to you. We want to make soup for people We don't want them to eat it in front of us. We don't want to have to clean up after them. We don't whatever you don't have to do when all you're doing is pushing out meals as opposed to bringing people in is the way they've gotten that worked out.
Actually, the reason they did that is because they were serving the meals and allowing people to eat them there, and the screams of approval were so loud it disturbed all of the other neighbors. And they said, "Okay."
Well, it's there's that, and I'm looking at some of the things they've got: regular manok, kadunpika, mangu, golai, chutney, ham, hocks, uhang. Shrimp, bok choy, long beans, papaya, roasted tomatoes, and coconut milk. God, that sounds good.
And you don't even need teeth to eat all of that.
But according to Blake, the big deal is on Fridays and Saturdays when they have banado. They have you know what that is? It's deer.
Oh,
it's deer meat. But apparently, and I gotta check on this. It is apparently not from around here, dear.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm dying. I'll ask them if I get a chance. I'll ask them why, because it might be one of those places where them and Ranger Jane, remember from the Department of Agriculture, can work together and go out there and bag some deers and take the deers down there after we've brought them out of the boondocks and clean them all up and take those down there and make soup out of it. I'm just top of my head, I'm not the entrepreneur. I don't know how things work, but every once in a while I am capable of making one of those kinds of connections. And the connections that I think I need to make right about now are to move. I might have misscheduled. Maybe she was talking about Monday, but I was looking around for my next guest, and it's possible that I might have misread when she wanted to come in and what she wanted to talk about. So we'll get around to doing that with Jen a little bit later on. A couple of the things that are out there that I thought were interesting that we did talk about. Talked to Jay Rojas earlier about Gita and their quote marketing spend and the idea that the public auditor and others, I suppose, want them to be a little bit more granular in the reporting that they've got. Okay, that they've got to do and turn in. That's no longer going to be Jay's problem. He's out in 3 days, so that's something that Mel is going to get to take care of with her deputy in the coming term. Department of Correction owes Guam Memorial Hospital a couple of $1 million. They've got a clinic there that obviously costs a whole bunch of money to take care of the inmates over at the Department of Corrections, and that is a problem that the incoming Dep Corps is going to have to deal with. That's Sam Brennan. Last week when they were talking about all the public safety names, I gotta tell you, I was delighted to hear about some of those names, but I was also interested to see how Frank Ishizaki, among others, would react to this. Frank Ishizaki used to be the chief of the police department. Also used to be a senator. Also used to be running things over at the Department of Corrections. So I was kind of curious. We weren't ever able to get him on the line last week, but I was curious as to what his thoughts were on some of these people that have been are going to be called on by the incoming administration to run things. And he had some nice things to say. I remember Captain Ignacio's suggestion to change the manner of dealing with impaired drivers. He wanted to book and confine. While the law authorizes the confinement, practice at the time had been to book and release. He believed that by confining the drunk driver, we could make a difference. I agreed and suggested he schedule a conference with the stakeholders, and bang, it was all done. So that's why if you get busted for driving while under the influence of something, that's why they're going to book and confine you. Look, if for no other reason, we think you're drunk, and guess what? No more driving for you tonight. We're going to take you away after because you know there are places. I'm thinking about certain southern states bordering Texas where you get arrested and they'll book you and then release you, and then you just go back out and drink some more.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Now in Texas, see, it was tricky because they could book you and release you, but there's also a law against public intoxication. So they would still just round you back up again. So,
is there?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't be intoxicated, and making a disturbance publicly. It's okay if you're drunk and nobody knows it.
Oh, my God. How do we get that going? Maybe there ought to be something like that gets enforced around here. I mean, just take a look at some of the crazy stories that are floating around from just from Monday. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that we're getting in the Magis report just over the last couple of days of some really, really crazy things that people have been up to. I'll spend a little bit of time talking about that in a second. So I'm talking about the Department of Corrections and how Sam Brennan's one of the first things that she's going to have to deal with with is going to the incoming legislature and saying, hey, borrow $2 million so I can pay off the bill over at GMH. And I'm sure GMH would be more than happy. Lillian Posadas will be more than happy to join you in that conversation saying, yes, pay DepCorp, give DepCorp this money so they can pay me over at Guam Memorial Hospital. That could work. Anyway, so going back to Frank's article in today's PDN, Samantha Brennan, he says, is the next director of the Department of Corrections. Brennan is a seasoned law enforcement professional, having served as customs officer, deputy marshal, and a probation officer. She recently retired as a major. There are parallels between corrections and probation, which will help her transition to DOC. She'll bring a breath of fresh air to corrections because of her experience with coaching and counseling. The only difference may be that corrections deals with hardened criminals whose destructive attitudes might be set in stone. Sam will no doubt be working with people that she has seen at the courts as part of her criminal justice life. And I got a feeling that she is going to know about some of these hard cases that you're talking about and do whatever it is that tough women do when they get dealt into a position like that. 9:46 in the morning, 888-8255. Juanita Machi talking about getting Buñuelos Dagu from Kadu. I didn't realize that was on the menu. Tom Van Engen says, good morning and Happy New Year, Ray. Well, Happy New Year to you. Happy 2019. And just because I need to say it for myself again, because in my head, I've got this Monday thing. And I need to stop thinking like it's Monday. It's actually Wednesday, and we are that much closer to Friday. It is a wonderful way to begin.
Have you gone outside this morning?
Since the show started?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I pop out at the top of the hour. Dude, it is just phenomenal outside.
Is it a nice day?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. It should be
Grill marks?
It should be a Guam holiday.
Grill marks?
Definitely.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. You won't even feel the sun.
I went back there yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly because I wanted to see what if anybody was going to be beaching on New Year's Day. Because I figured everybody would be recovering from the night before. Mm-hmm. There was still frivolity. There was still frivolity going on at the beach place where I went to.
Was it rampant frivolity?
It was less rampant than I think it would have been, primarily because I think there were a lot of people that took advantage of the beach to nurse a hangover. Mm-hmm. So I think there was far less frivolity going on. Then I think there was probably more frivolity going on at that beach the night before. And let's hope the rain washed some of that frivolity away. Lisa Barroso is online. So it's pretty. Ashley Calvo Rodriguez, Mingo Ree, Jose Martinez, Doyan Morado. Oh, that's nice. I'll bet I know what happened. You know what happened is when everybody found out that Mel was on the radio, all of a sudden, all of her girlfriends from the GYP jumped in onto us. I hope you're still there, Doyan. Desiree Braga, Ricky Orsini is there. Robert O'Malley with an interesting question. It would be weird if they had a state funeral on the same day as the inauguration. I don't know what the plans are for Uncle Ben. But yeah, that would be interesting if they tried to do that at the same time. I think since the legislature is probably is permanently adjourned, I got a feeling that they're probably going to have to wait until after a new legislature is inaugurated for a state funeral. James Rosemary Cruz is there. I see Kimmy Bloss and my nephew R.D. Gibson is online. Yuka Hechinova, and there's Zane and Antone Uggan. I have all of the Uggans with me now. Steve Reuters chimed in this morning, so is Pat Bomba and Felix Regis. Nice to have a whole bunch of people. And note here, it's cold and breezy in the Heights this morning. This is the time of year. And you don't need to live in Barragata Heights or anything Heights in order to take advantage of it. This is the time of year, friends, where, open the window, turn off the air conditioner, because it is probably cooler outside than inside most people's homes. There's a couple of interesting pictures that got sent my way on Monday. And I thought, well, I'm going to take these pictures. I think I'm going to stick these on Facebook Live so everybody can see what it looks like when a ship of a certain size knocks into a concrete pier over at the port. And that is a shot from the outside of the ship looking inside of the Nippon Maru, which is a cruise ship that pulled into Guam. Originally, KUAM ran the story. Nick Delgado had the story. Hundreds of cruise vessel passengers will be rounding out 2018 into the new year on Guam. The cruise ship Nippon Maru is arriving at the Port Authority of Guam this weekend from Yokohama. More than 700 passengers and crew members will be visiting briefly before heading up to Saipan. Then, New Year's Day, the cruise vessel Asuka 2 will be arriving, carrying more than 1,300 passengers and crew members. And then there's a statement in there from Joanne Brown about how they were looking forward to receiving, a couple of ships at a time and all of that stuff, except they dinged her pier. So I don't know if she's still kind of excited about that, but my goodness, look at that. You got to understand just the forces that had to be at work in order for that chunk of concrete to punch a hole that big into that kind of steel.
That is impressive. And for me, I tend to wonder, because my dad was a merchant mariner.
Yeah.
I grew up next to the largest port in the United States, so I kind of know some of the policies.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to have a pilot that's piloting the boat in and out of the harbor. Yeah, either they did not have the pilot or he didn't know where the pier was, which is very odd.
Yeah.
Those guys get paid expressly to not let this happen.
To not punch holes into the ship. So there are a ton of questions for which apparently there are no answers. Kevin was still digging around for an answer on this morning. What happened to the passengers?
Yeah.
They're
all up there. See, they're at the top. They're looking down.
Yeah,
like waving.
Yeah, and there's one of them at the bow of the ship. Top of the world, Ma. Top of the world. Look at me. Come back. Come back. Blow the whistle. Practice your Titanic lines. So I don't know. Dave Duenas, that's the funniest line of all time. Dave Duenas says, flex tape will fix that. Get some flex tape like on the late night commercials. What? The guy made a little rowboat out of the flex tape. Sure, that could work for you. So we don't know. Number one, we don't know what happened to the passengers. Where is the ship now? And is there a way? Because we have a ship repair facility here. And I'm wondering if they've contacted any of the guys that work at the ship facility here, and is there a way that we might be able to take a couple of, welder guys over there and stick a piece of pig steel up and weld it in? Just enough so it can make it a 1,000-mile journey back to Japan, back to probably Sasebo, where they'd end up fixing that. Pilot error. Wonder what Coast Guard said or Navy for dinging the dock. I don't know, but there, like I said, some really impressive pictures that we're able to show you up on the Facebook deal. Mark Cruz on the line. Mark knows a lot about stuff. What do you think, Mark?
Well, yeah, that banged into. I think that was Delta Pier.
Yes.
What they bumped into, and I think that's on the Navy side of the. That's near the Navy fuel pier, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what? I don't know enough about the geography of that part of the island. I know where the gate is, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, but I think because right across from where the big container ships park, the commercial port, is the Navy fuel dock.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the Navy fuel tanker comes in. I think that is Delta Pier, and it's on that side. But the other thing that you guys didn't take into account was it could have been not just the pilot. It might not have been the pilot's fault. It could have been the tugs that were helping it get positioned. Somebody may not have done what they were supposed to do, and that could have caused it to shift over enough to. But yeah, that's some pretty good damage to that pier.
Yeah, but I mean, and I don't know, but I'm assuming that if it was a tug, if they were piloting it to pull up to that pier, wouldn't they have been going a little bit slower? Or is it? I mean, even at a slow speed, if a big ship like that hits the concrete, it's going to tear a hole like that out.
Oh yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What you need to do is go on to YouTube and look up, like big ship docking accidents, and you'll see some of them. Like there's some where they back up to a dock, like in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And you've got this big, way bigger than that ship that you see in the pictures here on Guam, and it's backing up, and it's going too fast, and it hits it, and you can see basically the concrete dock buckle. And the big giant dents in, they're amazing things when you've got.
I mean, there's significant forces, and I suppose the inertia of the ship moving through is going to be enough to. It's not like it's not like two little cars in a driveway just kind of bumping each other and kissing each other.
You know,
right?
an object in motion will stay in
But
motion
you also
unless.
gotta remember the side of that ship when it's above the water line is the steel isn't that thick. It's what you've got below the water line where you normally bump into things. The steel up there isn't that thick, so you can run into something that's made out of steel or concrete that will cause that giant gash.
Shelley's asking me, didn't I ever watch Speed 2? I guess that's where I'm going to get my lesson in what happens with big ships at ports.
That was all computer-generated images and graphics and stuff.
But it was fun. But she's right, it was fun.
You're not going to get a ship to go in that far.
9:55 in the morning. So the question is, and you know, guys, that will know the answer to this, is that something we can fix over at the ship repair facility?
Yeah, I think they could. They could just cut out a big section and patch it with and do a temporary patch, just weld it into place so that it's not exposed to the ocean, because it's not under the water line where they would need a dry dock to pick it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they could cut it out and put a temporary patch in.
Well, you and I know guys that could do that. Be there in a half hour. 9:55, dude. I gotta run. I'll talk to you pretty soon. Happy New Year to you. I'm glad that we're stuck with each other for another year.
Okay, well.
Take care. 888-8255 is the phone number. Mark knows how to use that. We got to take a real quick break, and then I'll figure out how I'm going to kill a couple of minutes between here and news.
Guam Regional Medical City. We bring the healthcare advances of the world directly to you. We are an acute care hospital that complements your needs with our robust outpatient specialty clinics. From preventative care to critical care, we strive for consistent excellence at GRMC. Our core philosophy is where patients are partners, which means we work as a team to make a healthier version of you. For more information about GRMC, visit us at grmc.gu.
Security Title is honored to sponsor Ray Gibson on The Point. In 2019, we resolved to continue our mission of protecting and ensuring the land and homes of our beautiful island. Additionally, we resolved to maintain our vital connection to our families and our community. Protehi Itinotmo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
The first program of 2019 is in the can. And what are the priorities for Ray Gibson and the Ray Gibson Show? Well, I'll tell you what the near-term priorities are. Is we need to start planning. Well, we started planning. We just need to nail down finally the plans for our anniversary show. The first anniversary show we lined up, and it would, I suppose, maybe surprise you a little bit to find out just how much was of January turned into kind of last minute stuff. I mean, when did you and I finally agree that you were going to come and work here there, Miguel? So that was early January, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
and then come to work, and by the time I came back, and it became Mike and I literally putting everything together here at the radio station. All the systems that you hear me on, all the systems that you see me on, none of it was in the building.
I learned what it's like to watch someone put together Cat 6 cables.
Yay! And did a whole bunch of that while we were in construction. By the time we had gotten to be February the 1st, and we were ready to go on the radio, we were literally putting the finishing touches on this radio station the day before. And
it's funny, Joe was like, man, how did you do that? I mean, you must have been doing this your whole life. And it's like, this is my first time, man.
Yeah, just watch.
You got to fake it till you make it, bro.
That's our plan, and so that's what I get to do. There'll be some other things that actually involve the program that we can talk about in the next couple of days. In the meantime, thanks so much for listening. I'm glad that we are all here on this side of New Year's. I was worried that somebody might get hurt or killed or something like that over the New Year's holiday, but we're all here together, just like I thought we were going to be, so that's nice. The radio station is KUSG Hagåtña. For Michael Knight and Kevin Kerrigan and Blake Watson and everybody else that makes this program something that you cannot miss every single day. This is Ray Gibson saying thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
invitation. I'm